Dame toda la noche, no nos queda mucho tiempo más. No quiero perder lo que queda. Seguimos siempre la pasión y confiamos solo en el amor. Yeah. No quiero perder lo que queda. Y más allá, a través de la gran oscuridad, hasta que me convierta en rayos. Y más allá, a través de la gran oscuridad. Y más allá. Convierta en rayos. Y más allá, a través de la gran oscuridad. Y más crecemos en número, en solo un trueno de horizontes. Seremos miles. Más allá, a través de la gran oscuridad, hasta que me convierta en rayos. Y más allá, a través de la gran oscuridad. Y más
know where you take me. I just follow your trail and I'm losing your mind and I'm losing your head. Let me escape from this love, cause I'm a prisoner. I just want to look my way and never back to you. Don't know what would you been.
And we're going live now. Good evening and welcome to Simplay Motorsport here at Algarve for rounds 17 and 18 of the Pro Series. And I tell you what, I'm absolutely thriving for this one. This is going to be such an interesting night. I'm joined in the commentary box as always by Andy. Andy, evening to you. Hope you're well.
Evening, Matt. Yeah, very well, thank you. Hope you're doing good.
Yeah, I'm good, pal.
Good. Well, we're looking forward to some good action tonight. We've got the top guys here at Simplay Motorsport, some of the best of the best here on Project Cars 2. Minus one particular big name who I'm sure we're going to mention in a moment. There's been talk in the pit lane over this last week. We are missing one of the championship contenders, who is...
Yeah, Mazda.
Mazda.
He will not
pull out of the season, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen.
He's had to pull out for the rest of the season, and it is such a shame. He made a statement on the group earlier. He's out for the foreseeable future due to work commitments being put back on the after shift, meaning he'll be working at this time on a Thursday night, well, from Monday to Thursday at this time of night. So unfortunate for him, but yeah, it's a real shame.
Obviously, because he came into this one 4 points behind Gary. That championship battle was still looking hot, but still the battle between, well, Little Leech and the Sutty Apex not too far behind Gary. If Gary has one bad race here tonight at Algarve, if he fails to finish or gets some particularly bad damage, then the championship could be absolutely wide open once again. Little Leech goes into this 33 points behind Gary, Sutty Apex 36, so still all to play for. I'm definitely not going to be letting Gary count his chickens just at this point, and obviously I don't want to put any curses on him either, because that would be tempting fate enormously.
Indeed it would. Gary then leads away by 4 points from Mazda, but unfortunately Mazda can't be here like we said. Little Leach 33 behind and Sutty 36, as Andy just mentioned. Peaceful Explosion, he dropped off, had a poor Monza, but still sits 5th place, 54 off the back of Gary 131. Phil as well, he had a bit of a bad Monza, so he's kind of now out the running, 65 behind him at the moment. He's not had the greatest of starts to his Algarve adventuring off into the gravel trap there. Kieran Argent then just behind Phil on 142 points, 95 off. He's mathematically still in it, but realistically that's gone in race one, I think. AH comes behind Kieran Argent. He's 102 behind Gary. Again, still mathematically possible, but that'll be pretty much wiped out after race one here. Keegs then behind him, only 6 points behind as well. The battle between Kieran Argent, AH and Keegs is heating up in the middle of the table. Unorthodox just behind him on 144, but is missing tonight, so that's a shame. So Dan, if you are watching, hope to see you back next week, and hope everything's alright, buddy. Monkey Boy then comes 5 points behind Dan at the moment, so could leapfrog Dan tonight. He's 149 off the back. Dean Wasocki then, he's only scored 63 points all season, and he's been here all season as well. Served a race ban, race 1 Monza last week. Can he get back on track here at Algarve? D Biggs only sits 3 points behind him, and the battle for relegation is really heating up between this bottom 4. Fury then sits 58 points in the Nissan GTR, a car that he's not really got to grips with at the moment. He's got a podium at Fuji, but still, as you see there, doesn't quite have this Nissan dialed in the way he wants. And Emo Guy bottom on 46. So let's see what these lads can do.
Fury's been saying that throughout this season it has been a really trying time for him. Driving that Nissan GTR, he absolutely hates it. He can't wait to get out of that car. He's going to be teaming up with Unorthodox next season. I myself, I'm going to be teaming up with Ian in the Lamborghini, so I'm looking forward to that one. Me and him hopefully going to be driving in. Well, he's going to be in his favourite livery, the 666, and I'll be in that yellow and black one, so that should be good fun. But,
it should indeed. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the grid actually, Andy. It's going to be quite interesting. I've seen you obviously over at Motive Race Well, and it'd be nice to see you here at Simplay to.
Well, it's going to be interesting because obviously I've been watching these guys throughout this season, been commentating alongside yourself, so I feel
taking
like
notes.
Oh yeah, I'll almost be a little bit starstruck out there on the grid.
We have got the only G with us once again, not qualifying and not scoring points. He is just restarting his game, so I can only assume his wheel. Does he race on wheel? I presume he's a wheel racer. I presume his wheel's not quite working with the game.
If he was on the pad, then I'd be handing my wheel and
I'd be retiring.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll just do commentary. You're all right. I'll sit here.
That's why I started commentary. no, but I think if G was on the pad, then we'd all have to seriously rethink what we're doing. But Ian comes over the line. He goes to 5th place here in this qualifying session. 1.8 seconds after that top time being set by Sutty Apex. Looks like D-Big's currently doing a good job, not too far off that top time. Keegs as well, those guys. D-Big's towards the tail end of the standings. He'll be wanting to get a good result to make sure he can cement his place here in this Pro Series. The bottom 3 obviously get dropped to the Pro-Am.
There is talks of a change with Mazda dropping out. There is talks of a bit of a change. It may be just the bottom 2 with Mazda dropping out, freeing up a space. So that is ongoing, but will be posted in due course. And D-Biggs goes into 2nd place. One man I want to speak about tonight, Andy, Keegs. How must he be feeling coming into this one? He's had such a strong teammate all year. We've seen Mazda's qualifying pace. We've seen Mazda's race pace in dry and changeable conditions when it's not too wet. Keegs comes into this one, yes, P4 at the moment, as Sutty's just improved his time, gone even quicker, but Keegs, surely on his own tonight, has got a job to do. He's really going to be feeling it.
It could go one of 2 ways. It could be that he might feel like that lack of support from the teammates, somebody alongside him in the pit garage could compromise him a little bit. He might be running out of ideas, potentially he might not have a setup that's particularly to his liking, but on the other hand, you could see a baptism of fire here from Keegs. It may be that being the team leader tonight, he's the sole driver from Iron Brew Racing out on the circuit, so maybe it could be his chance to shine and really show what he can do. Last night when he was on the commentary with us, he said he wasn't expecting too much. He was just going to get out there and see what he can do. So he's not expecting fireworks from himself, but I'm highly confident that Keegs will be up there tonight.
Yeah, we see Keegs up there quite a lot in qualifying. Hasn't had the races he'd have liked, but qualifying has been where Keegs has shown his true colours at the moment. Sutty, the man on pole, 4 tenths ahead of D-Biggs. Where is Gary? He's not set a time yet. So Gary clearly struggling at the moment. Plenty of time left though, 12 minutes remain on the clock, and he's just crossed the line to start his first flying lap. Championship leader. Who's your favourite for pole position then? What car as well? Obviously compared to the Pro-Am where it's pretty much 2 cars. What car do you fancy around here tonight, Andy, with such a mixed grid?
I think the Lamborghini's got to be the car to beat around here because it's got everything, I think, in the GT3 category. The AMG, the Mercedes, it's quick in a straight line. It'll be strong down this section, the back straight and the start-finish straight, where you've got that very fast final corner followed by the long straight. But I think that the Lamborghini's got to be the all-rounder around this circuit. So guys like Sutty Apex will definitely have the ascendancy. Also Phil as well. Phil currently down in 11th place though, so he's still yet to really get the best out of it. So I would say, for me, the Lamborghini's got to have the advantage around here, just simply because it's got the speed, it's got that manoeuvrability. You know, you can tear it around, you can slide it across the surface a little bit. I think for me, and especially in those wet conditions, it's definitely going to be very difficult to beat. But then again, we also know that this man here, Gary, is a bit of a rainmaster, as I always say every single week. I always have to allude to this, and it's only because of that race of the Nürburgring that I keep saying this.
yeah. When we classed him as Schumacher-esque sort of drives.
Schumacher-esque, yeah, absolutely. He's the rainmeister from Gary, but we'll have to see how he gets on tonight. Obviously, we're expecting rain at some point throughout both races, so it will definitely play to his advantages. Let's see if he's got the pace in the dry conditions though, as he comes up towards the line now to complete his first flying lap of the session. Or is this an outlap from Gary? It's P2. P2. Fantastic time there from Gary.
27 thousandths off the back of Sutty Apex. Gets the front end all sliding out, all kinds of sideways there through turn 1 and 2, but only 27 thousandths off the back of Sutty Apex. So a great lap that from Gary. I was just about to allude, we've said all season the Acura struggles on these kind of circuits. Monkey Boy sits P6 at the moment, only 8 tenths off the pole, so hats off to him. He's coming to the end of another lap. Can he improve? Hats off to Monkey Boy. He did the hot lap video in the Bentley on Monday. For those who didn't see that, go and check it out. But he's really got to grips with this Acura late in the season. Probably a bit too late for his liking. But the Acura on this track might do well around the middle sector, but the final and first sector is just going to be a sitting duck, surely.
Yeah, you would imagine so. He wants to be further up the grid because his overtaking is not going to be a strong suit for this Acura, but he's doing a good job at the moment. He's clearly got the raw pace. He will have the advantage in that middle section as well of the track. Well, in fact, pretty much every section except for front and back straight, you know. So it's not going to be all doom and gloom for Monkey Boy, especially in these sections of the track. This is where that Acura is really going to be thriving over the other cars. Currently sat in P6. I reckon that he's definitely going to have an opportunity. He'll have opportunities tonight for sure.
Yeah. Dean, his teammate, down in P10. We see the Mercedes of Peaceful in P4 and Kieran Argent down in P8. Little Leach 5th currently. Sutty needs a job tonight, Little Leach as well. If they're going to keep up in this Drivers' Championship, Sutty needs to make sure, as Little Leach is about to cross the line and does so now, but doesn't improve his time. And Gary's just behind. What can Gary do as he comes across the line? No improvement there neither. Yeah, Sutty and Little Leach, as well as Peaceful and Phil, really need a good race here. They need to... It's as if now, we've said for weeks now that the Sutty safety's been a thing we've seen from Sutty, and he's taken points. Now he needs to release the send it manoeuvre. This is the time of season now where...
Oh, Matt just dropped his controller on the floor, but what Matt was trying to say there was that Sutty really needs to throw caution to the wind and start taking risks at this point. It's the Sutty that we all knew and loved from before. Lately he's been playing it a little bit safer than maybe we're used to seeing from him. But now is the time in the season where you've just really got to go for it. He's obviously got a bit of a gap to Gary at the top of those standings, Matt. I think that's what you were trying to suggest.
Yeah, I was just pretty much, you know, with the gap he's got, he's just got to now gloves off, elbows out, and get the job done that he needs to do. He's doing it so far in qualifying. You don't get the point for pole position, you get the point for fastest lap and the points for winning the race. I don't think it's going to be enough. 36 back. I don't think it's enough to win every race with Gary finishing second. I think Gary will still outdo him. Here's Peaceful across the line. Oh,
he improves a little bit, but not enough to move himself into position. Stays P5 at the moment.
Phil's struggling down in P12, Andy, in the Lamborghini.
Which is really strange because his teammate Sutty's absolutely flying, so maybe it's a bit of a bogey track for Phil. Not quite sure what's up with him at the moment.
Well, unless they're running similar downforce. I know Sutty races on the pad and Phil on the wheel, and obviously it's two different ends of the spectrum. It's like what feels good on the pad doesn't necessarily feel good on the wheel. And I wonder if they're running a similar downforce that doesn't suit both drivers together. So it's a hard one to do as a team. It
could very well be. Phil might have had something given to him a bit last minute from Sutty. Maybe he hasn't had the chance to really do his homework on the track or figure out a way to get this Lamborghini flying around this Algarve Portimao tonight. But whatever it is, he's way down the order, and his slim chances in that championship look like they might be drifting away from him. If he starts P12, it's going to be very difficult for him to keep his championship chances alive, even going into race 2 tonight.
Another man, Andy, as well.
4 points left on the board.
Sorry, apologies. Another man as well, Andy. AH down in P10, P11 at the moment. Not that he's a qualifier, is AH. We've seen him get on the front row and take the challenge to Maz. Oh, as D Biggs has gone pole, 6/10 quicker than Sutty Apex. So what has D Biggs found there? That is a heck of a lap time.
He's really getting that Audi working around here. What has happened with D Biggs? He's really doing a great job tonight. It has come from absolutely nowhere. D Biggs has been down the order for most of this season, and all of a sudden he's found something.
Is it a track he enjoys racing around?
Could very well be. Oh, as he gets a little bit hot out of that corner. It's commentator's curse there. We better stop watching him now.
This man has got to do something now. 6/10 off the pole.
Yeah.
So's Gary. I tell you what, I did not expect that from D Biggs. Not taking a pole position yet here this season.
He's now dragging it all over the place. He might be getting a little bit complacent now. He's probably trying to find that extra little bit and trying to rub the salt in the wounds of his opponents, but he just needs to keep his head for the start. He knows he's in a good position. Little Leach goes P2 there and puts himself above Sutty Apex. Good time there from Little Leach. Sutty's currently on a lap though. Let's see what he can do as he comes in towards the final corner now. He's going to throw that Lamborghini around this final right hand. A little lift as he came into the corner.
What a camera shot.
He was not too heavy on the brakes. It is, isn't it? It's
beautiful coming through that final corner. Lovely camera shot.
It is an absolutely beautiful track here. Picturesque. at Algarve, but Sutty comes over the line and he can't improve at the moment. He stays P3. It's so close between 2, 3 and 4 though.
Up to P5.
Up there. Yeah, he's managed to get a lap in there. He was down in P12 a few moments ago, but
Fury's jumped Phil as well, so Phil's 13th now, struggling.
Surprising to see that G's still yet set a lap time here. G's coming out at the pit.
Yeah, G is.
Oh, no, he's not.
G's when G came into it so late, he said that he wasn't going to qualify or score points because it was so late in the season. So unless he's going to do unless he's heard us now and he's going to do a.
No, he must be. He must be patrolling the track in that little squad car that he's got there.
He is.
That track police car that he's got.
I can announce that he's teaming up with Peaceful Explosion next year, so I'm led to believe. So that could be a team we could look out for, with Kieran dropping into the Pro-Am due to work commitments on a Thursday. He can still race a Wednesday. So Kieran dropping in the Pro-Am, I think, which is why we've got kind of swapped Kieran for you, in a way, because I know you wanted to jump in with DJ Phil. And obviously I think now we've kind of just swapped you two around. But AH, correct time. Can you believe, Andy, I'm looking at stats here, can you believe Gary only has 1 pole position this season?
Thinking about it now, he really does go better in the races, doesn't he? But he's usually up there in qualifying. He's
yeah, just never getting on. Well, let's think about it. Mazda's taken 6. Sutty's took 4. So there's 10 of the 17 races. He's got 1 himself. That's 11. And then you've got the likes of Phil's got 1 in a reverse race. Sorry. AH has 2. Dean has 1 himself, and Keegs has 1 himself in a reverse race. So Gary, only 1 pole position to his name, obviously proves that he goes better in the race than qualifying, but suddenly starting P4.
But Matt, I reckon that if you did combine all the lap times together from all the tracks, his pace would probably be up there with some of the best in qualifying.
Yeah, like the most consistent.
On the pace. Yeah, he's always there or thereabouts. He's never too far off. And I think is, I know I'd rather be always up there close to pole and not be on pole than sometimes be on pole and sometimes be in 8th or 9th or 10th. You know, I'd rather always be in touching distance. Sutty's gone P1 here, Matt.
Oh, brilliant.
He's got ahead of D Biggs.
400ths of a second ahead of D Biggs. Phil's back up into 12, so he's improved as well. But I tell you what, that is a heck of a pole time from Sutty Apex there. Phil's just going to throw it in the last corner. Has a bit of tow as well from Peaceful Explosion here. So this could be something interesting as the cameraman's decided to pick up Peaceful, and back to Phil we go. On board Phil now. What can he do across the line? Is there going to be any improvements with 2 minutes 44 left on the clock? He crosses the line now. That doesn't improve, so is this an outlap?
Could very well be for Phil, but he's not got obviously the time's winding down here in this qualifying session now. He needs to really get his skates on. His teammates up in P1. No excuses for Phil. He needs to get a good time in at some point before the end of this session. Kieran Argent currently in P6. A great qualifying session for Kieran Argent here. Yeah,
Road Argy Bargy. He's up in P6 and he's doing quite well. I told him I'd throw that one in there tonight. Argy Bargy. Play a bit of play on his name there. Yeah, he's done well tonight, Kieran. He's been a consistent performer in the qualifying sessions this year. The races have kind of let him down, and he's coming around that final cut. I love that shot. Love that camera angle. That is brilliant. Love absolutely beautiful that. Love this track, to be fair, Andy. I'm a big fan of this circuit. Really do think it's a beautiful track. And what can Argent do across the line? Sutty Apex just behind him. Argent doesn't improve, and he's actually quicker than his teammate who's still up for the title here. Sutty Apex doesn't improve neither and stays 4/10 ahead of D Biggs, who's off again. I wonder if he's just trying to push it a little too hard to eke all that time out.
Yeah, maybe he was just hitting purple sectors on that best lap of his, and he can't quite. Sometimes you just hit a lap that's absolutely bang on the money, and you can never do it again. Maybe he's trying to recreate that high that he just can't seem to attain the levels that he did on that particular PB, that green lap that he did before he put it on the front row provisionally. It was pole position at the time, but he's going to get one more go here as D Biggs to try and get himself up on that top spot. He's going to put himself in with a good chance of getting survival here in this Pro Series. He's got 2 points back to Fury in 14th place, so he just needs to ensure that he's got that buffer and staying out of that bottom two. If he gets sideways.
That's his qualifying ruin then. Little Leach is going to come around the final bend. Keeks behind him. The roar of that BMW. We're going to see, if I tell you what, if someone is side by side with each other through there tonight, that's going to look absolutely epic. Keeks pushing the track limits. Cameraman goes to Little Leach, who's not at the last corner. He's coming down the start straight and he's about to cross the line now and improves, but only by a 10th. Keegs, what does he do? Down in P9, didn't improve any. there then. So Keeg struggling. Peaceful's in the pit, so he's done for qualifying. So P7, the best he can achieve. Can anybody knock him out of that place then? Jamie Brazier's just commented saying that Andy won't be able to curse the pro group next season. No, he won't, Jamie. Argent's just gone P5.
They're cursing them from the track.
Yeah, cursing them from the back of the grid or wherever you qualify. You'll be sat there, come down to championship side of you and Jamie Brazier, and you'll be going, Jamie's internet's going to disconnect, and then all of a sudden, bang.
Make sure you don't interview me, because I'll be... I'll basically call exactly as it's going to happen, and whatever I say, it will turn out. Oh, Little Leach gets sideways there. Massively out of shape. Gary's just coming through the middle sector.
Kieran Argent's gone up to P5, above AH. AH's gone into the pit, so Argent, who's still on a lap as well, has found a bit more time. Can he find the 10th he needs to go above Gary 131? That'll put a spanner in the works. If Gary drops down another place, Kieran has found no end of time. Bit slidey through there. He managed to hold it and keep it going then. Sutty on pole, 400ths of a second. Kieran 7/10 back, probably his closest challenger as Gary is in the pits. A lot of drivers not being able to improve, so they are pulling it back into the pit lane then. So what can Kieran do? Oh, he's very wide there. And surely we'll have to yield the time.
Yeah, you would imagine so. That definitely look like he gained an advantage there. Sutty's currently sat in P1 at the moment. See if he can try and rub salt in the wounds. D-Big sat in the pits. Looks like he's not going to improve. Sutty Apex, his teammate down in P12, Phil. So it just goes to show what a solid job, well, fantastic job, shall I say, Sutty Apex is doing tonight. Yeah. As he brings it into the final couple of corners now.
He's had his Mickey D's and he's ready to go.
Final part. Yeah, absolutely. Here he comes out onto the pit straight now, and he brings it into the pits.
Kieran pitted as well. So is it only Emo Guy?
No,
he's done.
Emo Guy. No, he's done.
Everybody's done then. So Sutty Apex takes pole position for a 5th time this season. And that is the start he would have wanted ahead of D Biggs. Not a bad qualifying that for Biggs. Yep, no problem. Not a bad qualifying that for D Biggs. And then Little Each P3 so far. Gary in 4th with Argent 5th. AH in P6 with Peaceful 7th and Monkey Boy in 8th. Keegs 9th, Emo Guy in 10th. Dean Wasaki 11th, Phil 12th, Fury 13th. The only G 14th then. So that wraps up that the track police of the only G. So while we just wait for our social media expert to get the socials done on this one, just waiting for the thumbs up, and then we'll be able to be on our way and going with race 1 here. For those who's in the stream, please do drop a like on the chat, on the video. Let's get as many likes. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe as well. Let's see how many we can get this afternoon. Really interested to see what we can do going forward into next season. Obviously, penultimate rounds tonight here at Algarve. You join us next week at Imola Pro-Am Series, 8 PM Wednesday night UK time and 8 PM Thursday night for the Pro Series, for what should be some cracking racing then. And if the Pro-Am Series win out the championship decider then, and the Pro Series, well, a lot of that could be decided tonight, as we are about to get ready here. As we have Andy back with us now. Andy, tip for the race?
Tip for the race has got to be Sutty. I think he's just got the raw pace at the moment around this Portimao track. D-Big's got a great lap, but Sutty's used to being in this position. He's always up there at the sharp, or you're often up there at the sharp end. I think D-Biggs might find the pressure a little bit too much up in P2, but hopefully he can bring home a podium. For me, Sutty has got to be the man who's most likely to take this race win though.
Yeah, I do have to agree with you on that one. Watch out for Gary though. Argent could chuck up a few surprises into Turn 1. If he gets the jump on Gary and Little Each, well, Gary doesn't need to be finishing this low down the order. He needs to still get some good results here. Like Andy said earlier, one bad result for Gary, 131, and if Sutty and Little Each can capitalise on that,
it could be wide open.
Yeah, could going into Imola next week, could be absolutely fantastic to watch. Really could. What's the Teams Championship looking like? Could it be won tonight? The Teams Championship cannot be won tonight. For those who are interested, Leach Motorsport do lead the way by 68 points from Run Flat Racing. Iron Brew Racing 79 behind, but don't have Master there, so that's not going to help them too. Forever Forward Racing still in with the outside shot, 116 behind, but again, hard work for them. Kieran Argent and Peaceful Explosion to do that. Flatline Motorsport of the Dean and Monkey Boy. AH Racing not far behind them two. Then in P6, EF Racing of Emo Guy and Fury in the Nissan. Dubs Racing and then Biggs Motorsport. But we're getting ready here to go. And let's see then, as the lights come on now, who's going to get away the best. It's lights out and away we go here at Algarve for race one, and that's a great start from Gary 131. Round the outside a little each, and he's done exactly what he needs to do.
D-Biggs has been absolutely swamped at the start. It looks like he's already got AH looking to the inside, coming into turn one. Has he got the move done? Kieran Argent though with a great start as well, up into fourth place. AH getting pushed out a little bit there. He's got Biggs Explosion trying to get past him there. As it is in the background, looks like Fury's round. Fury and D-Biggs coming together there. I don't know what happened, but it looks like they've just had contact there coming through turn three. Disaster for those two, Fury and D-Biggs. Bill looks like he got caught up a little bit in that one. He's currently battling with Monkey Boy and Peaceful Explosion. It looks like there's a lot of cars going wide there. G already up into 9th place. Keegs up into 8th. Dean Wisocki running in 7th place at the moment, but Gary there getting the perfect start up into P1 from P3 on the grid. Sutty Apex now chasing him. The pole sitter is down to 2nd place, but he's still going. Oh, he's looking to the inside here. Sutty Apex throws one down and looks like he's got it. But is Gary going to be able to fight that on the outside? No, he's not. Sutty's up into P1 there. Little Leach now having a look on his brother all over his rear end at the moment, but Sutty Apex taking back that lead, which he lost off the line crucially for him, and he will be hoping that he can get as many points on Gary as he can in this opening race of the penultimate round.
Indeed he will.
Gary gets sideways.
Oh, he has, and Little Leach is going to try and come alongside him. No, he's not. He's took back in. That's a strange one there. Gary losing a bit of time and momentum there. Then Sutty, we're seeing that aggression from him. And Kieran's going to go for a lunge up the inside of Little Leach. Has he made that one stick? He's trying to force Little Leach a bit wide. He has. And moves across to try and defend the line. Good move from Kieran Argent there then. Brilliant. So that Mercedes working well so far. Can he get on the back of Gary 131? Sutty looked aggressive on this first lap, and he's done exactly what he needs to do. Gary, though, up in 2nd place and is doing a job. D-Biggs, poor start, what happened to him? Why is Sutty going? Not quite sure what Sutty's going there.
Contact with Fury coming through the turns 1 and 2. I'm not sure if it was Fury, maybe attacking too much.
That's Emo Guy!
Emo Guy's had a moment. He is all out of shape there coming through the last turn. And he's going to be... what happened to G? G's down to 13.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened to G there. Got a good start up the order a bit, and he dropped down. So I'm not sure what happened. Dean Wisocki's running 6th place. So good job from Dean Wisocki on this opening lap. What a start for him. He's ahead of Peaceful Explosion, who was on the grass there. Not quite sure. On the grass. But Dean Wisocki and Monkey Boy ahead of Keegs here. And Dean Wisocki fighting in this relegation scrap at the moment, doing the job he needs to do. Oh, and that's Fury round.
It just made the move there on D-Biggs up into 11th place, but he's got sideways. And G's going to... That was close there. Ian also taking evasive action as well. Fury down to last place. This has been a disaster of an opening couple of laps for Fury, but Sutty Apex, having lost the lead off the line to Gary, looks like he's managed to pull away a little bit here. He's got 1.1 seconds at the front of the field. Gary running in P2, pulling away a little bit from Kieran Argent, who got ahead of Little Leach. We saw in this part of the track on the previous lap, Kieran Argent got himself up into that final podium spot. AH currently running in 5th. He's not too far behind these guys. He'll want to stay within striking distance, and as the pit stop phase comes along, he'll very much be in with an opportunity. Keegs running in 6th place. He's got Dean Wisocki looking to his outside here. Can Dean try and... No, he can't. He's not going to make that one stick at the moment. But now he leaves himself vulnerable here to Monkey Boy. Monkey Boy going to try and go around the outside of his teammate, and he's pulled off a worldie there by the looks of it. He's around the outside. Peaceful Explosion trying to follow him through there, but he can't quite do it at the moment. Monkey Boy there with an absolutely world-class overtake.
Oh, and he's going to look up the inside of Keegs. Monkey Boy up the inside of Keegs. Keegs ran and left the door a little bit open, and Monkey Boy's done very well, and they cap each other, and Keegs and Monkey Boy are off.
That was definitely Keegs' fault, I'm afraid to say. He definitely rejoined the track in a little bit of an unsafe manner. Just clipped the rear end of Monkey Boy, and those two spinning out there, coming through the penultimate corner. But that's given these two a little bit of breathing space now. Dean Wisocki and Peaceful Explosion going side by side down the pit straight, and we've also got Phil and D-Biggs battling it out in the background as well here. Is D-Biggs going to try and make a move coming into turn 1? He's a little bit too far back to go for the move at the moment though, Matt.
Did you see the way that Mercedes pulled past the Acura? That is how easy it is for the Mercedes, to get past this Acura. Yeah, Dean will gain though through the corners. He will get the advantage through the corners. The Acura's quite well through there and on the brakes, but down the straights it's a sitting duck. And look at D Biggs already side by five. What has happened to Gary? Little Each now second, and Argent's battling with him for P3. So Little Each has passed Kieran Argent and is now on the back of Gary 131. And can Argent make that move? Little Each Motorsport, boys, and Gary's a bit wide there, and Kieran had a little sniff up the inside, and every opportunity Kieran's going to take. Bit of argy-bargy from him there with a bit of a tap up the rear on Gary 131, but it's Sooty leading now.
Really nicely there. He just managed to park his car on the inside of the corner. There was no way he was going to allow Argent around the outside. He's in a bit of a rut there. He managed to let his teammate by, but he's not going to lose any more positions here. Gary wants to make sure he doesn't lose too many points to Sooty Apex in the championship. Gary coming into this with a commanding lead in the standings. He wants to make sure he's on the podium at least here and getting those consistent results. Kieran Argent though driving a hell of a race here in this race one this week. He's absolutely on it tonight at Portimao. He's
doing some wonderful things here. I can't believe what's happened to his teammate. It's as if they've switched. I've got a stat here, Andy. We was looking at points from Spa when D Biggs and Orthodubs Fury Nemo guy joined. Kieran's only 5 points behind Peaceful Explosion since Spa. It's really interesting to read this, that like Unorthodox sits up with the top runners. Kieran's really started to outscore Peaceful Explosion since Spa then in the back end of this season, and he's doing so tonight, and he's really challenging for only his second podium of the season if he can catch and get past Gary 131. It's not going to be easy. Had a bit of track limits there to add to that one as well.
Well, we know that Kieran Argent and Peaceful Explosion will not be teaming up next season. Peaceful Explosion will be teaming up with this man, the only G, driving in pretty similar liveries. So I don't know who Kieran Argent's going to be teaming up with. I don't know if we've heard confirmation on that just yet.
Nothing yet.
But I imagine he'll be staying in that AMG because he's really been getting to grips with it over the course of this season. I mean, let's just put it into perspective. At the start of this season, Kieran Argent was talked about like a bit of an underdog, I've got to say. Yeah. But he's really come on over the course of this season.
He's really shone and really developed as a driver, and I've been really impressed by Kieran. We could have seen the same thing from Dean. We didn't. But Kieran has been the one who's progressed. Now, Kieran and Dean were actually qualified for the Pro-Am, but because we were short on drivers in the Pro category, we sort of split the groups to make them even, and them two got the nod to go up to the Pro-Am being the quicker drivers in the qualifying session. And we've really seen Kieran develop this year compared to Dean Wysocki. So these two should have been on the grid for the Pro-Am series, but Kieran here is driving well enough to be in the Pro, and it is a shame he cannot make Thursday nights. But what can he do? Long way to go still in this one, Andy. We're only on lap 4 of 17, so still a heck of a way to go. And just look at the view there of the mountains in the distance. Look at this view this man's got though. Nothing in front of him.
That's exactly the view he would have wanted. He would have dreamt of this last night coming into this Pro Series, the penultimate round of the season. He needs to gain as many points on... Sorry, that was a hiccup. He needs to get as many points on Gary as he can. Gary looks like he's still struggling to get by his teammate. I wonder... Obviously, Little Reach is about 30 points behind Gary in the championship. So I wonder if we get towards the end of this race, will these two start to engage in some team orders? Now that Gary's got a lead to Sooty in the championship, they may want to cover off Sooty and get Gary as close to him in this order as they can. But also Little Leach with a mathematical start for the championship, so I can understand why that wouldn't be applied.
Andy, I've just seen a few spots of rain. Sorry to cut you off there. I've just seen it starting to rain here, lap 5. Well, and yeah, a few spots, Andy.
We saw this in the Formula 1 actually earlier this season. We saw some very brief rain at the beginning of the F1 race on the opening lap, and it didn't last. So I wonder what these guys do now. Do they maybe take all this with a pinch of salt, or do they come in, put those wet tyres on and try and get a head start on the rest of the guys out there? I don't know what's going to happen here.
Sooty's got such a buffer. Oh, what's happened to Dean Wysocki? Just looking at the timing screens, Dean's down in P12. No. Good start for him, and it's gone horribly wrong in these later laps. So I wonder what has happened there. Phil still struggling in 11th, you see there, look. But yeah, I'm wondering. Oh, we've lost a driver. We've lost someone. Keegs, we've lost Keegs.
Keegs is retired.
Yeah, we've lost Keegs.
Well, we saw the collision between... Excuse me. We saw the collision between Keegs and
Monkey Boy.
Monkey Boy, yeah. Keegs and Monkey Boy earlier came together coming through the penultimate corner, and I don't know if Keegs had some damage on the car, but he definitely seemed to be the cause of that accident. So I don't know if he's had to retire the car or what's exactly happened there. That's a shame to lose Keeks this early. Last night he said he wasn't expecting fireworks from this race. He just wanted to get out there and see what he could do, but I'm sure he would have expected more than that.
I'm sure he would have expected more as well. Little Each making the early call, so is AH, Peaceful Explosion and D-Big. So you're starting to see drivers now come in for their pit stops at the end of lap 5. So these guys really now on it in terms of getting their strategies right. I don't think it's wet enough just yet, but obviously with your teammate, you've got to make sure you're in and out so your teammate can box.
Yeah, absolutely, and Sutty's staying out there at the moment, Gary also. But Sutty's really excelling in these wet conditions. He's pulling out the gap to Gary and Kieran Argent at the moment. He's got 7 seconds in the lead of the race, so he seems to be really enjoying these conditions at the moment. That Lamborghini does tend to go well in the rain. Gary in that AMG is a bit of a rainmaster though, as we've said. Although he's struggling to keep Kieran Argent behind him at the moment. So everybody from Little Leach downwards has been into the pits. Top 5 still yet to come in at the moment. Sutty, Gary, Kieran Argent, Monkey Boy and Fury have all still got to come in at some point. Everybody else has been into the pits and is most likely on the wet tyres though.
Yeah, so definitely on the wet tyres. The spray started to come down now. It's coming to come down. The spray started to come up now, should I say. So I wonder then if everybody else will pit this lap. Is anybody going to try and go an extra lap on the slick tyres? Sutty's got such a buffer over Kieran and Gary. Kieran is on the back of Gary here, just a couple of tenths behind. Sutty then into the pits at the end of lap 6 then. Where is Gary? Yep, Gary and Kieran are going to pull the trigger as well.
Yeah, as you would expect really, the conditions are getting... Oh, it's Kieran Argent takes a swipe at the pit wall there as he came in. That front of that car was definitely flying around there, but he gets it in safely just about. He might have to incur some damage repairs on the front of that car. Did he have time to adjust his setup there to get those damage repairs done?
Has Monkey Boy stayed out? And Fury? No, they're just that far behind. Wow.
Coming around the last corner, so surely they will be boxing this time. Yeah, Monkey Boy comes in and Fury follows suit. Those guys really struggling here tonight at Portimao, but we've only got Little Leach here in the, well, I'd say net 4th maybe. We'll have to see.
Well, was ahead of Gary, wasn't he? If you remember, Little Leach was ahead of Gary before when he pitted. And I think
looks like Gary's going to get the jump by the looks of it.
Yeah, I think Kieran might as well here.
Kieran Argent there coming to the end of the pits. Monkey Boy will come out behind Little Leach, but Little Leach getting jumped by both his brother and Kieran Argent, so that's not what Little Leach would have wanted at all. He's currently 11 seconds off the leader, Sutty Apex at this point though, so it's not all doom and gloom for Little Leach. There's still plenty of time left in this race to get himself back on that podium. He's got Peaceful Explosion not too far behind him as well. Having a quiet race at the moment, but Peaceful Explosion, you can never count him out in these conditions.
No, you
saw
can't.
Silverstone earlier in the season.
When he drove past Little Leach as well, coincidentally, so I wonder if that'll be a repeat here. D-Big's got himself back up in 6th place since his earlier pit stop then. This is where AH may struggle in the BMW. Doesn't like the wet conditions. We saw last week at Monza how much it struggled when, Gary made that fantastic move around the outside of him for the race win on the last lap, on the last corner. AH made it hard, but what a move from Gary. 131 it was. Emo Guy down in 8th place then, but Gary 6 seconds off the back of Sutty Apex. Argent's dropped off the back of Gary quite a lot since the pit stops. Gap 3.2. So I wonder if Kieran's just struggling in these wet conditions a little bit more compared to Gary. We say every week Gary's a rain master, and he's proving it here then.
Yeah, it's very possible. It could just be, it's always a separator, the wet conditions, and I don't know, Kieran Argent may have made a mistake coming out of the pits, possibly cold tyres, those wet tyres do take a little while to warm up, but he's very much got Little Leach closing in on him now. Little Leach obviously Gary's teammate, they'll be running similar setups, if not exactly the same to the T, so we might be seeing Little Leach closing up and passing Kieran Argent in a lap or so's time. Peaceful Explosion also making gains on Kieran Argent as well, so he's got to watch out as Kieran Argent made a good start to this race, but he needs to maintain the type of form that we've seen over the first half of this race one tonight. Sutty Apex though, driving off. I wouldn't say into the distance quite at this point. In fact, the gap since the rain's come down has more or less stayed the same. In fact, Gary's actually closing in now.
Gary a lot quicker last lap.
Yeah.
both pitted as well, so that was an outlap from Gary and Sooty Apex. So Gary having the better outlap than Sooty Apex. Look at the times that Little Leech, D Biggs and Peaceful Explosion have done in the 53s in the wet. Obviously they pitted the lap earlier, and it shows that that is what Gary and Sooty have got to be doing, because Little Leech, Peaceful and Biggs, 53s, nothing to be sniffed at here. So let's see what Gary and Sooty can do this time around. But obviously the gap, like you say, pretty much staying around 5.5 seconds. Just creeps up and down every now and again. But is Sooty comfortable in that? That gap's just come under 5 seconds for the first time that I've noticed. So Gary 131 then is making life a bit tricky for Sooty here. You just see it sort of fluxing, don't you? Between 4.9 to 6 seconds the gap seems to be going.
Yeah, the fluctuating pendulum here at the moment is the Argent there currently running in third place. He's very much got Little Leech. Those in that gap, you can see 1 second separating these guys out on the track at the moment.
He's wide.
He's very wide there, yeah. Little Leech will definitely be sensing that opportunity. Peaceful Explosion, in fairness as well, is keeping with the leader's pace. He's been 14 seconds behind for another lap. Now Gary's made a mistake. What's happened to Gary?
Oh, he has. He's dropped off 3 seconds there, so he must have had a bit of a slide coming through one of the corners, because he looked like, well, it didn't look like anything, so we didn't see it, but from what I'm guessing, could only be slidey there as well. Oh, he's done well to catch that. That Porsche does not want to grip. He's losing time here to Sooty. Sooty in the 52, so really quick. Oh, that's Kieran Argent, who was really, really wide there. So has to surely lift off the throttle on that one and release the time that he gained. But Gary just getting that Porsche sliding around a bit here. And is that maybe bringing him into a few little problems? 56, lost 4 seconds to Sooty on that last lap. Little Leech and Peaceful still in the 53s and really reeling in Kieran Argent then. Little Leech all over the back of him.
Yeah, Peaceful Explosion lapping in the 153s. He's only a half a second lap off of Sooty Apex's pace. Peaceful could fancy himself a podium here at Algarve tonight. And we know in conditions like this at Silverstone, he was race winner, I think, in race 1 of that particular event. So we know he's got the pace as Peaceful Explosion. He's currently going to hope that he can capitalise on these two, of Kieran Argent and Little Leech, giving each other a bit of a headache here midway through this race 1. So there's still plenty of time left for these guys to really show what Simplay Motorsport is about. It looks like further down the order we've got AH being closed in on a little bit by Emo Guy. Ian last time around lapping in the 155s. AH struggling a little bit here, Matt. I don't know what's going on.
I say this every week. BMW in the wet conditions, Andy. I just don't think the BMW suits the wet conditions. We see it with Mazda, we see it with Kiegs, we see it with AH. It's not like it's just one of them. The BMW struggles when it rains, and I think this is an ongoing problem with that BMW. I just don't think it grips properly. I think it struggles through the corners. The straight line speeds here, I just do think you've got to kind of take the corners a bit slower just to make sure you find that grip. AH and oh, look at that under braking, wide on the brakes, and the Emo Guy really gaining on the back of him here, and he needs some good points tonight.
I think he does, yeah. Ian's sat right behind him here, but Ian, as you said, he needs to make sure he gets some points on the board because he's currently sat in the drop zone. Bottom 2 for this Pro Series will go down to the Pro-Am at the end of the season. Himself and his teammate Fury both very much in the danger zone. Fury not really delivering the sort of performance he needs at this stage of the season, but Emo Guy is really passing the back of AH. He knows this could make or break his championship. He's in the slipstream here coming down the pit straight. Is he going to have an opportunity? Here you can see looks like he's got the straight line speed here. Emo Guy in that Nissan GTR. He's got that top end over the BMW just a little bit. Has a little look to the inside coming into turn 1. He's a bit too far back to go for the move at the moment, but he's got so much grip on the braking. You can see AH going a little bit wide. Emo Guy can't quite capitalise at the moment, but the Godzilla very much has got the beamer on the ropes at the moment.
He does indeed. The Flying Scotsman, considering Kiegs has gone, he's really flying at the moment, and AH is a little bit wide again. AH really struggling, Andy, in this car. The BMW really struggling. Gary has that gap just under 8 seconds out front though, lapped just a couple of tenths quicker than Sooty last time around. Argent still ahead of Little Leech for the time being. Peaceful not really gained on the back of them just of yet.
Jamie Breeze is saying, I wonder if there'll be a BMW on the grid next season.
Yeah, that's interesting. With the rain, well, depending on the fact that next year the drivers aren't going to know what the weather is, because obviously we told the drivers, we sort of did a draw with the kids off camera for the weather and put it on the calendar for this season. Obviously the drivers next year aren't going to know what the weather is, so it's down to them to change. So will we not? That's the question that remains to be answered. We'll have to wait and see. Phil still down in 10th, not the race he'd have hoped for at all in this one.
No, I don't know.
Really
what's been going on
struggled of
with
late.
He's currently lapping in the 1 minute 54, so he's 2 seconds a lap off the leader's pace. His teammate is doing a good job, but Phil really struggling. Just looking at the timing sheets here, Matt, Gary last time around was half a second quicker than Sutty, so he's starting to eat that gap down. Peaceful Explosion's got to have Little Leach and Argent as well. Yeah,
I wonder if Argent and Little Leach had a bit of a coming together. A 57 dead and a 59.5 for Little Leach and Kieran Argent, but Peaceful quicker than Sutty, 2 tenths slower than Gary, up into 3rd place. So I wonder what's happened there, but then he's in P3 and back on the podium, as it looks to me like the rain's just slowing a little bit. And Kieran has really struggled since this rain's come down in this second half of this race. Pretty much, he had that pace in the first stint to keep up with Little Leach and Gary, and he's just dropped off in this second stint. Gary though is really gaining on Sutty. The gap was down to 6.5 I saw a minute ago, before Gary's obviously coming through this corner back up to 8 seconds. Probably just swinging backwards and forwards again here, but Gary started a couple of tenths a lap. Is that enough with on lap 11 of 17? I don't think a couple of tenths is enough to gain on Sutty Apex here. There you see Sutty just in the distance. Oh,
is Gary disconnecting? What's going on there? Oh no, his Wi-Fi looks like it is very much on tenterhooks at the moment.
I'm sure Jamie Brazier doesn't want to see that. He'll have nightmares.
Deja vu.
Jamie, look away now. I tell you what, he needs to go to a clinic to go and see some, a psychologist. What's the matter, Jamie? Oh well, my internet disconnects and it's ruined the championship.
Disconnecting when I'm in the lead of the race.
I just can't do it anymore. Gary's struggling here. He looks like Gary's round. Gary spun the championship leader.
Oh no!
Here comes Peaceful. Here comes Little Leach. Where is Gary?
Going to pick up 2nd and 3rd places here. There is Gary.
They're surely going to pass him.
No, I don't think.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. Look at them gain on him. Look at them gain on him.
Oh,
Gary.
No, Gary's going to hold on just about, I think, coming into turn 1, but he's lost so much time. He's now got his mirrors absolutely full of that Mercedes AMG.
What has he done there? We said he was losing the rear of that Porsche a little bit, and Gary has thrown one into the last corner and has definitely thrown away the race win now. Has he thrown away a podium opportunity then? The fog's starting to fall, the rain has cleared away, and Gary's visibility, well, he can't see at P1 anymore, but he can surely see the cars in his mirrors, that is for sure. Peaceful Explosion will be hunting down for P2 here. This will help him in his championship. Little Leach surely will want to pass his brother in the fight for the championship, and he's really lunged on Peaceful. And how has he got that stopped and turned in? What a drive from Little Leach.
Absolutely brilliant stuff. Peaceful Explosion saw him coming, gave him the space on the inside. It will have probably delayed the challenge from Peaceful a little bit on Gary, which Gary's
struggling.
Trying to help his teammate out a little bit here, trying to give Peaceful Explosion something to worry about. And Little Leach has got the run here on Peaceful Explosion coming down the hill. Is he going to have that opportunity down coming into the dip? It looks like he's going to try around the outside here. Ooh, look at that. Little Leach has got it done. Off to the inside for the next corner. What a fantastic
Gary's struggling.
Gary is all over the place in the centre. 3 wide coming through this corner. Little Leach up into P2. Gary loses the position. Peaceful Explosion down to 4th place here.
Either that's good tactics from Gary and helping his teammate out, or Gary is really struggling then. We heard from Chris last night in the Pro-Am that it just dried and the wet tyres went off. I wonder if Gary's tyres have gone off, especially after his spin, but I'm not quite sure. Was that tactics from Gary, or was it a mistake from Gary? We'll have to wait to see. Peaceful all over the back of him, and Gary does not want this. One man that does, though, is Sutty and Little Leach. That was Peaceful, who looked like he had the run on Gary there, Andy, before you changed camera. Now he's tucked back in.
There we go.
Sorry, I thought he had the run there.
He's in the slipstream, but he's just got nowhere to go. It looks like the Porsche's got so much speed coming down the pit straight. He's going to look to the outside. It's Peaceful Explosion.
He's gone the wrong way.
Gary's defended the line. You can't see a thing here. Let's jump back on board with Peaceful Explosion. Gary covers him off on the inside and holds on to that P3. Oh, a little bit of a touch from Gary there on the curb. You don't want to.
Peaceful's going to lunge. Peaceful's going to lunge. And there's a Sutty sending in a half. And Peaceful's back on the podium here. Gary just taps around. He's going to try and sneak one up the inside. This is great battling from the both of them. They just lean on each other slightly. And they're now side by side coming down the back straight towards the hairpin corner. And Gary looks like he's got that one done. But is Peaceful going to lunge back up the inside? He is, and he's run way too deep.
Oh, he's going to lose position to Kieran Argent maybe. No, he doesn't. He just holds on to that one. But Peaceful Explosion really he's committed himself there. He sent one up the inside, and Gary, was having none of it, managed to get him out of the corner. Fantastic racing between these boys. We're seeing some of the best action here on the channel over this season, and Peaceful Explosion just about holding on from Kieran Argent, but Kieran Argent is bringing himself back into this one.
Surely now the team have to be saying to Kieran, back off, back off. You aren't in this title fight, Kieran. Let Peaceful go. Surely that has to be the message. You cannot give any other message to Kieran other than that. Because if he gets in the way... Oh, that's Gary! Gary spun!
Oh my God! Oh no!
The championship leader is round and is down to 5th. And if he carries on making these mistakes, could he lose even more places? One man who will be loving this is Sutty Apex. But I tell you what, Gary has thrown this one away, that is for sure. Was on the back of Sutty earlier. 5 seconds was the gap, and now he's 24 behind. He's behind Kieran Argent. Mistake after mistake. And can Gary get anything out of this one?
The championship leader now has got it all to do. The gap's going to come down massively. Obviously, you get 25 points for a win, so Sutty Apex is going to take absolute chunks out of the lead here in this one. I don't think... I don't know if Gary can get himself up into 4th place here. He's a couple of seconds off of Kieran Argent, but that was as everything's gone wrong for Gary in the second part of this race. He's made mistake after mistake. Didn't even see what happened there. He just seemed to go extremely wide coming down that hill.
Who's retired? Who's retired?
We've lost.
AH is retired. He's got to lap 13, so we'll score points. But he's retired from this one. I wonder if that's internet connection. We know he's had problems all season. So we'll score points at least, but not the points he'd have hoped for. Now then, Dean Wysocki in the pits. Is that for the dry tyre? Nothing to lose. Clearly a feeling like maybe I could gain a point on for the fastest lap. That was Monkey Boy around. Monkey Boy being lapped by Sutty. I wonder if Dean then is going for fastest lap here. Pretty much a lap down on his teammate. I wonder if he's just thinking, I'll try the dries and try and maybe get the fastest lap of the race here at the end.
That's a shout. He's got nothing to lose in this situation at the moment as Dean Wysocki. It's not been the race he would have wanted for sure.
Good start.
He has to lose points. Yeah, he got a good start, but since the rain came down, it really hasn't gone to plan for him. One man who's driven brilliantly tonight though is Kieran Argent. He's only a couple of seconds off the podium at the moment, but he's got Gary breathing down his neck. Gary's all over the back of him here.
Kieran's job has to be to keep Gary behind him, Andy. Surely, if he's on the radio with Peaceful, he's got to keep Gary behind him. He's gone deep and Gary's done him.
He's got him. Yeah, he routine pass there from Gary. Just as we start saying, he's got to keep him behind him. He lets him by.
Yeah. So. Surely, though, Kieran's got to keep this pressure on, because I tell you now, Peaceful will want Gary to either make another mistake or get Kieran Argent back through. In fact, Kieran Argent is back through. Where's Gary?
Oh wow! What's happened to Gary?
Oh, they're
Gary's
both off!
Again? Oh no!
Maybe contact. Maybe contact between the two of them. But Gary is off with Argent. Argent was in the wall. This could give GP6 here. Gary then has D Biggs crawling over him.
Yeah, Gary could have damage as well, which will play into D Biggs' hands very much in this last 3 laps. Oh man, is Gary driving around with a wounded car here, Matt? We'll have to wait and see. Yeah. Well, obviously the lap times will tell us the answer to that one, but it looks like D Biggs is closing in on him now. Gary's really struggling.
D Biggs having the time of his life. Good qualifying, poor start, but he's back up there. Could be a P4 for him tonight. Gary 131 made a few mistakes. We didn't see what quite happened with him and Kieran Argent. We saw him get through. Did Kieran try and get back through and touch him? Was there contact made between the two of them? Not sure. We'll have to see or speak after. Gary will be on for an interview at the end of this one, surely. But Andy, it's not going his way in this race one. Oh, that's G with a mistake.
Yeah, he's kind of big off there coming out onto the back straight. Now Phil's all over the back of him. So G's had a very on-off race here in race 1 tonight. It's not really gone to plan for him in that AMG. Obviously can't qualify for these races. He's not racing as a permanent driver.
If I'm right, G's not the best in the GT3, so I've heard over at Motive. It's not his most comfortable category.
No, it's probably not his favourite, but he seems to he excels in the Clio's, the touring cars, and the GTEs. They're kind of his main fortes. But yeah, definitely the GT3s. He's still good in the GT3s.
Oh yeah.
And last week at Monza we saw he put a good performance for Fuji as well in race 2. So
very twitchy is G there coming through that corner.
Yeah, a little bit.
I wonder if he's got a bit of damage on the front. I wonder if he's caught a wall somewhere. Just has a slight bit of damage because he was very twitchy. Gary's been passed by D Biggs.
Oh, D Biggs up into 4th. It looks like G goes wide there. Fills up into 8th place. Takes advantage of G's little excursion coming through the 3rd to last corner. But as you say, D Biggs now into 4th. Gary.
Well clear.
Seems to have some hefty damage on that Porsche. Is he going to find himself vulnerable to Kieran Argent running 8 seconds behind him? Only 2 laps left to go. It would have to be a monumental capitulation here from Gary to lose that 5th place, but he is driving a very battered and bruised Porsche at the moment, so anything can happen here in this final lap and a half.
Oh, he's struggling. He's struggling. I tell you what, if he makes mistakes on these last 2 laps, don't discount Emo Guy. 42. He's only 10 behind Gary. So Emo Guy could gain an extra place here as well. If Gary keeps making having mistakes or making problems, Emo Guy could find himself on the back of Gary 131 before you know it.
Yeah, he definitely could. Emo Guy's sort of just kept himself more or less within touching distance of these guys. It's not been the best of races for him, but he's going to get some good points here, as in, and currently we're sat in 7th place. He will most likely be out at the bottom 2, I think, after this race.
Yeah, more than likely, I'd imagine so. Gary...
Oh, maybe not, I don't know.
No, I think Emo Guy will be. It'll be a case of... He's only a few points behind Dean Musaki and Monkey Boy. Obviously, we'll go through that when the points table updates. It's... What is it for 7th? So he'll come away with 9 points. Dean will come away with 5. And Monkey Boy will come away with 6. So, who's that?
Somebody...
Oh, he's round. It's Emo Guy.
Oh, he is round there. He's on the back of Kieran Argent, but he couldn't capitalise there. He's had all sorts of problems coming through that last sector. Sutty Apex. He's on the final lap of the race. He's
14 behind, so he'll be closer going into race 2, that's for sure.
Yeah, he needs to hold on from G and make sure he brings home this 7th place to pick up as many points as he can in the championship battle. G is really hustling the back of him here as they come around to start what is going to be the final lap of the race here at Portimao.
And what's happened to Phil again? Because Phil passed G a moment ago. When we said G was a bit wobbly, Phil passed G, and now he's well off the pace again, 7 seconds behind G. So what has happened to... Yeah, Phil's had a really up and down race here.
Yeah.
Strange one.
Swinging back and forth, unfortunately for him. We'll see this time around what sort of lap time he's done on this particular lap. He lost 10 seconds to G.
And Phil this season, Andy, Phil this season, he started poorly, middle section got really strong, got a good string of podiums together. And then back end again, he's just dropped off that little bit more now, and he's not there able to help. Obviously, assuming that he's still out the running, he pretty much is. He's not there to help Sutty Apex. Dean's in the pits for a 3rd time, so I'm not quite sure what that's all about from Dean Wisocki, especially considering he's on the last lap of... Oh,
he's not going to get the fastest lap now, no. He's
no, definitely not.
Away.
No, Sutty Apex will be coming flying past here. Dean will finish the race in the pit lane then, like we saw DJ Phil the other week. And Sutty Apex then...
From Saturday tonight, though.
Yeah, you can take nothing away from him. He's done exactly what he needed to do. His championship rival, his main championship rival, Gary, has failed to do that. And Sutty Apex takes the win. The aggression's out, and Sutty's done it in style. Little Leach then is going to come home and take a fantastic, well-earned P2 then for him. Good job, good drive. He's done what he needs to beat his brother and, crucially, rival in the championship. Peaceful Explosion as well in 3rd place. He's done stellar performance from him. We saw great drive from him as he weaves across the line. D Biggs, good solid 4th for D Biggs here. Really good performance from him. Come in late. He will now surely jump Dean Wisocki in the standings. Gary to the pit wall will only take 5th place, so his championship now is really going to be hanging on. My headset on my leg and disconnected it. I apologise. Kieran Argent, P6. But is he going to be looked at the stewards after? We didn't see what happened between him and Gary, so we'll double check. Emo Guy looks like he's going to hang on for P7 then. And does so. G finishes in P8. Phil looks like he's going to take 9th. So not the race he'd have wanted at all. But still, points for Phil in the bag, points for the team as well. And that is your lot there. So Fury came home P10. Sorry, go on.
Sutty taking a dominant win, absolutely. Fury not gaining the points he would like to stay up in the Pro Series, but Sutty definitely closing that gap to Gary in the championship standings. On to race 2 of this one. Top 5 can't qualify, guys, so stick around. Make sure you drop a like on this video if you enjoy the content here at Simplay Motorsport. And yeah.
Who got the fastest lap? Sutty Apex with the fastest lap as well, Andy. So good extra point for Sutty Apex then. So just looking at the standings going into the final round, Sutty Apex has closed that gap to 21. Little Leach has closed it to 24. So the round that Gary didn't need, he's kind of had there, Andy, like you said, and it's kind of brought the championship back to where it needs to be. But we're going to take a short break. Stay tuned for part 2, where the top 5 cannot qualify. So Gary, Biggs, Peaceful, Little Leach and Sutty Apex cannot qualify for this one. And we'll be right back in just 2 seconds.
I just realized I've built walls a mile high to protect my heart, but now I'm all alone, stuck on the inside. The heart doesn't need a castle, it needs a bridge. Been too scared that I'd unravel. Brick by brick I built these walls. Now I know that I am strong. Just watch me tear them down. I'm gonna tear them down. If it couldn't break your heart, is it really love? If it can't tear you apart, is it really love? Just watch me march towards the battle. I'm gonna tear down this castle. I'm gonna tear down this castle. I'm gonna tear down this castle. Watch me march. If it couldn't break your heart, is it really love? If it can't tear you apart, is it really love? If it couldn't break your heart, is it really love? If it can't tear you apart, is it really love? I criticized myself for trusting lies. I know I can't hide, 'cause then I'd be alone, stuck on the inside. The heart doesn't need a castle, it needs a bridge. Been too scared that I'd unravel. Brick by brick I built these walls. Now I know that I'm enough. Just watch me tear them down. I'm gonna tear them down. If it couldn't break your heart, is it really love? If it can't tear you apart, is it really love? Just watch me march towards the battle. I'm gonna tear down this castle. I'm gonna tear down this castle. I'm gonna tear down this castle. Watch me march. If it couldn't break your heart, is it really love? If it can't tear you apart, is it really love? If it couldn't break your heart, is it really love? If it can't tear you apart, is it really love?
This is I'ma turn it up and then I'm gonna take it down. I'ma turn it up and then I'm gonna take it down. I'ma turn it up and then I'm gonna take it down. I'ma turn it up and then I'm gonna take it down. I'ma turn it up and then I'm gonna take it down. I'ma turn it up and then I'm gonna 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 turn it up and then I'ma turn it up and then I'm gonna take it down.
Welcome back then, Simplay Motorsport. I'm joined in the commentary box by Gary, 131 P5 finisher, P3 Peaceful Explosion, and your race winner and fastest lap to hold up Sooty Apex from race 1. I'm going to start with you, Gary. P5 for the championship lead, and not the race you'd have wanted. Few incidents, few spins. You just didn't look like you had it this one.
No, tyres were shot. I felt like I was treading on eggshells. It was hard work, but I got some points in the bag at the end, so that's all that matters.
What? Look at this, Sooty just sniggering a bit there. You seem to have decent qualifying pace. You got up the front end of the grid after a cracking start. Sooty managed to just sort of nudge you around a bit, elbows out sort of thing, nothing to lose in the championship. And then just went to pot from there. What's your... was it just purely tyres in the wet, or was you running slicks or wet tyres there?
I was on wet tyres, but it didn't feel like it, let's put it that way. But like I said, I couldn't do anything. I just had nothing at all.
Well, what's your objectives for race 2 now? Obviously you cannot qualify. What's your thoughts going forward?
Well, we'll see. We'll see how the first lap turns out.
Well, best luck, Gary. I'll let you get back to your group with Craig, and best luck for race 2, mate.
Cheers, mate. All the best, mate. And peaceful.
Cheers, man.
Peaceful P3, that must have been a bit of a shock to yourself. I know you were saying earlier in testing that you can't get the tyres to last, and you've come away with a podium.
Yeah, I was quite happy with that result, to be honest. I've struggled on hard tyres all season, and I managed to get them to work enough here to hang on the tail of them, and then in the wets it was a bit easier. To be fair though, towards the end my front left wet was red.
Yeah.
On that last lap.
Interesting then. Well, you struggled qualifying sort of mid-pack and managed to get your way through to the front. That must have been something good for you.
Yeah, it was. I thought I'd do a bit better in qualifying. I know I could. I had a good second in me at least to get the tail end of the top 2, top 3, but I just could not get a decent, clean lap in really that'd get me that time.
Fair enough. Well, what's your objectives for race 2? Anything you want to try and get or come away with?
Try and push my way through and see what happens when the weather changes really. It's a tricky one, this one. It's not like others we've ran, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Indeed it will. Well, we'll let you get back to Kieran in the party, mate, and best luck for race 2. Cheers, thanks. Cheers, guys. Good luck, Sooty.
Cheers, man.
Sooty, great race win, fastest lap as well. Really sort of bringing yourself in the title. We spoke earlier, you said how you just want to make sure now that you've got to gain the points over Gary, and you've certainly done that with Gary having a bad race down in P5. You've certainly got them points that you needed.
Yeah, it's just trying to get as many points as I can now. Obviously, I didn't have as much to lose as Gary. The first lap, the Sooty of old was out, which I'm sure you'll be delighted to see.
We did see that. We commented on it. We saw it well, so don't worry about that one.
Yeah, obviously, it went well in the end with the race. We had a little bit. Fury, unfortunately, lost it in the grass and smashed into me. But we managed to finish. I was cursing him a little bit till I seen he had no damage. But yeah, ended up alright.
Fastest lap, you must be delighted to get the extra point. You've shown some really good pace in qualifying. Biggs surprised us a little bit in the commentary box. I don't know about yourself when you was currently on provisional pole and Biggs managed to storm his way 6/10 in front of you. You must have been like, where's that came from? And then you managed to smash it yourself. So really good job.
Yeah, Biggs did well. The first lap time I set was actually on full race fuel.
Right.
So then when I seen Biggs put that lap time in, I dropped the fuel a little bit. And I managed to pull that lap time out. But, and as you know, the Lamborghini's not the best on low fuel.
No, that's it. For race 2, I assume it's more of the same, elbows out and gunning for Gary again.
Race 2, that's basically it. Just try and finish ahead of Gary, try and bring some points back. But
21 behind him now. Title's not out the window yet, obviously with 3 rounds still to play for. Little each only 24 behind. Phil 68, your teammate's kind of out of it. He's not had the best of times at Monza and first race tonight. Struggling a bit, is Phil.
Yeah, he was saying he hasn't really, due to like work commitments and other things, he hasn't really had time to practice, so he's really struggled, but he'll get there, he'll do alright.
Do you need Phil for the title race? Do you need him up there?
It'd be nice to have a rear gunner, especially since Gary's got Craig.
Well,
I see him all over me in race 1.
Well, best of luck race 2, mate. We hope for more of the same, buddy.
Aye, I'm sure there will be. Thrills and spills. Right.
That's it. Best of luck, buddy.
Catch you later on, lads. Bye.
Dean Wysocki currently on provisional pole, 2/10 ahead of his teammate Phil. Currently sits P3, 6/10 off the back of that. The Acura sit 1-2 at the moment. Andy, we're only 5 minutes as Dean Wysocki's made a hell of a mistake coming out of to the downhill section and goes back into pits. Half the qualifying left, and the Acura's 1-2 at the minute. Andy, interesting.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's where they need to be really in order to have a chance to get some good points. But Dean Wysocki doing a fantastic job here. Sorry about that. I was just my headphones are a bit tangled up. But yeah, it's good to see those guys currently setting the pace. Phil maybe starting to get to grips with that Lamborghini a little bit now. Obviously, his teammate unable to qualify. A lot of the faster guys not out on track at the moment due to the top 5 don't qualify rule. So we'll be able to see whether or not he's really got to the bottom of his issues that he had in that opening race over the course of this race too. But obviously we are expecting more changeable weather, so that will definitely throw a spanner in the works for some of the other guys as well. But starting at the front or near the front will definitely play into his advantage. Let's see if Phil can get himself up onto the front row here with this lap. Doesn't look like he can this time around for the time being. Ian currently running at a good 4th place here in this race 2 qualifying session, driving that GTR. His teammate Fury currently running in 5th place. And looks like Monkey Boy's just gone P3. Oh no, hold on. He was gone
Monkey
P3.
Boy was... Kieran Argent's just gone P1. So a good lap time. 3/10 quicker than Dean Wysocki. So a good lap time that. Dean Wysocki's actually been caught and passed by D Biggs in the championship standings. 3 points ahead of Fury and only 13 ahead of Emo Guy then. So this championship battle really rages on at the moment. We have lost Keegs, unfortunately, for race 2. We haven't got AH back yet. He was in and then ended up disconnected, so I wonder if he's having internet problems again. Can Argent, who's shown good pace in the dry race 1, can he take pole position here? It would be his first pole of the season then. Now him and AH mathematically out of the championship running. He's got work to do to help his teammate out, and I'm sure being as far up the grid as he can be is where Peaceful will want him to be, especially if Gary comes knocking on the door. Sooty ultimately, when the grid is lined up, Sooty will start ahead of Gary 131. That's the ultimate one really for me, is to see Sooty in front of Gary. That's what he needs at the moment.
Yeah, it is, and Sooty obviously gained a lot of points in that first race. Got the maximum 25 points. Gary would have got, how many for 5th was it?
Gary came away with 11
points, so he gained 14 points on him just in that one race. Plus he got the fastest lap.
Yeah, so 15 points on him effectively, yeah.
So the championship.
15 points, sorry.
Yeah, but Sooty needs more. He needs more than that though, because obviously to get 21 points in the championship, he really does need maybe you cut one or two more surely results for Gary One more bad result for Gary will definitely bring Sutty back into that equation, though. Gary really needs to deliver here in this race too.
I mean, another 15-point swing will put him, what, 6 points behind Gary. Another 15-point swing like that.
And that would essentially put him in his hands.
Going into him.
Then to win the final 2 races, regardless of Gary's position or result, he would end up taking the championship. So.
Monkey Boy's gone into P2. Argent's gone even quicker as well. So Dean Wysocki now down in P3, and Argent looking for his first pole position of the season. Dean could go for his second here. Argent's been on the podium but never on the front row, or never on pole position, should I say. Dean coming towards the end of his lap. What can Dean Wysocki do? Is there any time he can gain? Just 1 second he needs, or just over a second he needs, in this Acura, which doesn't look the best around this track, especially in the straight line. I'm surprised that while the teammates of Dean and Monkey Boy are in this qualifying session together, they've not kind of slipstreamed each other in a way. Sacrifice lap, although 10 minutes is only short, so I suppose you need to get out there and get best track position. Dean will get one more lap in. Emo Guy won't. He's in the pits. Dean doesn't improve that time around, so he's got one more chance to do so. There's Fury just ahead of Phil, so can Fury improve on his 3.2 that he's down? He's not going to while he's span. Oh, well, we've just got AH in. So that's, excuse the lag there, that was AH joining, and he will qualify 7th. A man who probably could have had pole will be 7th place then.
Phil just gets on to another lap. He can't improve on that particular time around, but he will have another opportunity to get the fastest time of this session. Looks like Kieran Argent coming up on the line now. Let's see if he can rub salt in the wounds. No, he can't. No. Monkey Boy currently out there at the moment. Also Dean Wysocki, Phil maybe with another opportunity. Fury struggling a little bit. It looks like he's done for this session as well. So Fury 3 seconds off the pace, really not getting that Nissan GTR flying around like we've seen. Well, to be fair, he has struggled in the Nissan GTR a little bit here at Simplay this season.
Only a couple of points behind Dean Wysocki though in the final standings, and I think they should have him in this race based on the Acura's pace here, so I'll have to wait and see what he does.
Yeah, absolutely, but Kieran Argent looks like he's going to take the pole here unless something happens in the dying embers of this session. Maybe Monkey Boy can find himself 7/10 on this particular lap. Dean Wysocki currently out there at the moment. He's just coming in towards the final couple of corners now, very wide there onto the artificial grass as he came through the penultimate corner. It's all on this one. I think he might have lost a little bit too much time coming through that section. Matt, we'll see as he comes out onto the pit straight now. Let's see, Dean Wysocki currently sat P3 at the moment in this session. Can he put it on the top spot here at Portimao for race 2?
No improvement. Monkey Boy picking him up. Here he comes. Can he get pole position? We'll wait and see. I don't think he did.
I don't think so.
No, he didn't. So Kieran Argent will take his first pole position here at Simplay Motorsport. And what a time to do so, just as you've been eliminated from the championship title fight, if you will. Kieran Argent then on pole position from Monkey Boy, with Dean Wysocki 3rd, Emo Guy 4th, Phil in 5th. Fury down in 6th. AH we got back in the end for 7th place. D Biggs will start in 8th, Sutty 9th, G will start 10th, with Gary 11th, Little Each 12th, Peaceful Explosion on the back row of the grid. So not what Gary would have wanted. And as G's saying in this stream here, softs don't act like they should on this game. The hards are the way to go for the race, Andy. So that is an interesting one from him. We are just waiting for the go ahead from the social media side of things to make sure he's got the pictures of the grid sorted, and then we'll be able to get away with race 2.
I just wonder whether or not he's playing little games here. I don't know if G's trying to play mind games with the other guys, possibly getting, maybe he's anticipating that some of the guys who are struggling on softs will read that comment and assume that that's the answer to their problems.
Possibly so.
Banking on that, I don't know.
Yeah, potentially.
To me, I think, especially this time of year, that the soft tyres have got to be the option, the main option, because just due to the track temperatures being pretty cold.
I completely agree with you. So the fog down here at Portimao, and who's going to get away well here? Who's going to get the better of this first start? Peaceful on the back row, all alone. He sees his teammate, or future teammate, just 3 places in front of him. He sees his current teammate on pole position. Gary and Little each starting near enough side by side. So row 1, Kieran Argent, Monkey Boy. Row 2, Dean and Emo Guy. Row 3, I've lost row 3 because you took the standings off. Row 3 is Phil and Fury. Row 4 is AH and D Pigs. Row 5, sorry, Sooty and the Only G. Row 6 is Gary and his brother Little Leach. And row 7 on his own, Peaceful Explosion. What will Little Leach do off the start? Will he attack Gary, knowing that the championship's down to 23 points between them two, especially? 24, sorry. I wonder what his situation's going to be. What will he do?
The thing is,
in this
the team
one?
are going to want them to keep it clean because they're still in the constructors.
Yeah.
Motorsport. Obviously, they want to maximise their chances in that one, so it's going to be a tricky one. Who do they favour? Do they go for it themselves and go for glory, or do they play the team game? That's going to be quite an interesting dynamic.
I mean, they've got the constructors all but wrapped up. Should have that wrapped up by race 1 next week.
Yeah,
They'll
they
have
don't want to mess that up though.
No, that's the problem. With Run Flat Racing being the main competitor forever forward, and Iron Brew go out to this one. They've got no drivers on the grid. Keegs not back for race 2, and no Mazda obviously pulled out of the league due to work commitment. So Iron Brew Racing will lose out, and it looks like we're ready to go, Andy.
Here we go. It's right on board with Fury for the start. Seeing if the visibility that's pretty atrocious here at Portimao. We're moments away from lights out here for race 2, and the lights are out, and we're underway. Looks like a good start there from Fury. Also, likewise, just in front of him, you saw there Ian getting a nice getaway as we come up towards turn 1 now. Kieran Argent leads coming into the first turn. Looks like Dean Masocki holding on P2, and Ian pushes out Monkey Boy a little bit there. Is Monkey Boy getting wide? Looks like he's getting a bit of it out of shape. Fury attacks him in the back, and Ian and Monkey Boy coming together there, coming into turn 2. Bit of contact there between those guys, but AH and Monkey Boy up ahead here of Fury now. And looks like AH has had a moment.
Oh, that's Sooty! I see Sooty off in the rear mirror!
Apex. Oh my goodness, what's happened to Sooty Apex?
I don't know, he's in the wall, and there's his teammate Phil! And is that Gary with them? Gary's with them!
Oh my goodness, two of the championship contenders down to 11th and 12th places already here in this race. That is definitely going to play into... it's definitely going to benefit Peaceful Explosion, but he's only running in 10th.
Yeah, him and Little Each are surely going to benefit from this one. Gary and Sooty not having the start they'd have wanted. The first 3-4 corners not going well.
4 championship contenders are in 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th.
I know, just not got the start they needed. Phil's all but out the running as from this race pretty much. And what is going to happen here? Dean then second from Emo Guy. Kieran leads this race by a second already. AH 4th, Fury up into 5th, Monkey Boy's down to 6th, D-Big 7th with G on the back of him, and look at that, that's Fury attacking D-Big's was trying to attack Monkey Boy. Yeah.
Everyone's trying to get involved with each other here. This is just a train of cars, and currently nobody wants to fall in line and stay in order here. This is like the queue down your local supermarket. Everybody's trying to gain a little advantage and try and cut in ahead of each other, but at the moment it's G just behind Monkey Boy and D-Biggs as they coming out of the last turn to complete lap 1. You see there, D-Biggs has got a fantastic drive coming out onto the pit straight. He's going to pull out to the left-hand side here. The cameraman decides to take a day off there, but we're coming down the pit straight now, and you can see there, riding on board with G. D-Biggs pulls out to the inside. Looks like Monkey Boy tries to cover him up, but D-Biggs has to move on the inside. He goes a little bit deeper to the corner. They both...
three of them!
Look at that!
It was like synchronised spinning there, yeah. Absolutely brilliant from all 3 of them there. Fury rejoined nice and safely, indeed he does. Sooty's got past Gary then as well. I'm looking, great move from G. Great move from G onto turn 4. Just gets the cutback. Brilliant.
Yeah, he got the best of luck there, honestly. I mean, he had 3 guys spinning right in front of him and didn't get tagged by any of them. So you have to get a bit of luck here at racing, and G didn't get the easiest of first races, but he's certainly trying to bounce back here in this second race. It looks like AH isn't giving this one up without a fight though as they come up towards the middle sector here, but I think G's got that one done on the inside. He's up into 4th place, just 5 seconds off of this man here, Kieran Argent, our pole sitter, currently trying to convert that pole into his first victory.
Dean's keeping him within touching distance here. Dean is not letting Kieran get away from him. The gap's a second and has been a second for quite a while now, for pretty much the first 2 laps. Sooty's made progress up into P9. Peaceful's dropped to 12th, and Gary still only 11th place then at the moment, but G is doing what he needs to do. Sooty on a hell of a charge here right behind Fury. He said in the interview that Fury span and kind of T-boned Sooty as he rejoined. I've lost my timing screens again. There we go, we've got them back. And Sooty looking up the inside of Fury this time around. Fury gives him plenty of room, and is Monkey Boy going to try and look for the move as well? No, Monkey Boy just can't quite do it. So Sutty up to 8th and is gaining on the back of Little Leach as well. Gary struggling to make progression here. He's 2 seconds off the back of Monkey Boy, but that'll help. That'll definitely help Gary gain on Monkey Boy then. There he goes, look. Gary round the outside, easy as you like. Gary up to 10th.
Yeah, Gary making progress. Sutty and Gary both trying to make their way back through the pack. Looks like Sutty's already on the back of Little Leach, so Little Leach not really making the most of those two guys' woes at the start of this race too. He's not really been able to capitalise at all. He's not even really closing in on D-Biggs that much at the moment.
I think Dean's made a mistake.
I think maybe, yeah, because he's dropped off of Kieran Argent a little bit. He's now got Ian right up his chuff here.
Yeah, really has. Dean was on the back of Kieran Argent by a second behind and was doing really well. He's now dropped well off the back, so maybe a mistake somewhere for Dean. And he's now got Emo Guy all over the back of him, and G coming as well to try and capitalise on that. Can the Acura as the rain starts to fall here at Algarve, lap 3.
Ready.
So what will these guys do then at the end of this lap?
Yeah, G waiting in the wings, currently matching the pace of
We've
the
lost
leaders
someone
at the moment. Oh, who's dropped out? Is that...
I can't see. We've lost Fury. We've lost Fury.
Must have disconnected.
Well, so we've lost Fury then. That is a shame. So Fury will score no points in a race where he needed to score points. Only 3 behind Dean Wasaki. He's now going to score no points then, is Fury. So that is a shame for him. And Emo Guy having to defend from G here is kind of letting the pressure off of Dean Wasaki at the moment. What are these guys going to think then so far? Are they going to pit? What are they going to do? Let's wait and see. Dean, though, heavily defending. These guys should just breeze past him on the straight, shouldn't they? Sutty's passed Little Leach as well. I'm just noting on the leaderboard.
Yeah, he has Little Leach struggling here for whatever reason in this race too. But Ian and G are both closing in on the race leader Kieran Argent, so they're going to want to get ahead of Dean as soon as they can. Maybe Dean is playing the team game here, possibly on. He's trying to play weak. Well, no, actually, I mean he's not. Obviously, his teammate Monkey Boy is down in 10th place, so maybe not. But he's currently holding G and Ian up a little bit here. These guys will be wanting to get into some clean air and chase down the race leader because they are going quicker than this man Kieran Argent. But he's just doing what he needs to do out the front, and Dean is doing a fantastic job of defending here. But it's come down the back straight. Surely G's going to have a run here in that AMG. You can see the straight line speed. It's got so much more power than that Acura. As they come into the braking zone now, G's surely going to have the inside line. He does indeed, and he gets the braking point absolutely done to perfection. He's up into P2. Next up in the rearview mirrors of Dean Wasaki will be Ian, and it looks like AH is closing on these guys as well in 5th place.
Yeah, indeed it does. Monkey Boy, the first man to pull the trigger and dive into the pits. Although the rain is falling, it's not really making the track wet yet. We're not seeing much spray. The fog's lifted a bit here, and the track doesn't really look wet yet. Oh, Dean's had a spin! Oh, what a shame! No. He had such a good start to this race, Andy, and he's now dropped down to P6 behind Sutty Apex, and that's a real shame for him. Oh, Little Leach has binned it!
Oh my goodness!
Gary threw on his brother then. But I wonder then, is it now just starting to get greasy and drivers are making mistakes?
Well, possibly the Leaches do appear to both be struggling. Gary down in 8th place at the moment. Sutty has made much better progress than either the Leaches since their little first lap excursions. So I don't know what's happened to these guys, but they're really struggling at the moment. Dean Wasaki having that moment. He was running up high in P2 a few moments ago. G's now closing in on Kieran Argent at the front, and Kieran Argent brings it into the pits. Surely G and Ian have got to do the same thing here. Looks like G is staying out. No, he's coming in, and so is Ian. Looks like AH is going to stay out here by the looks of it.
AH going for a move then that could that win him the race in the BMW. Sutty as well staying out. So is Dean Wasaki then. Oh, he's seen Dean had a spin. I thought it was getting greasy. Obviously not. D-Biggs as well as came in the pits.
That's the Apex staying out.
Gary's also staying out. Gary's now up into 4th, is staying out as well. Very interesting strategy. Little Leach is staying out. So the Leach Motorsport brothers, one needs to pit before the other, don't forget. They've both stayed out here. Well, that is an interesting strategy that could be playing into their hands. I wonder what strategy they're going with. Peaceful Explosion as well. Kieran was in the pits this lap, wasn't he? He's only just left the pits. That's why Peaceful hasn't pitted this time around. Phil then free to pit. Isn't. So what strategy do some of these guys know that we don't, Andy, up here in the commentary box? But either way, Sutty now runs P2, Gary P4 at the moment. Let's not forget, if Sutty was to win this race and Gary finished 5th again, and Sutty took fastest lap, let's say, oh, as Phil's binned it on his own, touched the curb and has gone round here. So not the night that Phil would have wanted.
One to look out for, Ian's jumped G in the pits. He's got ahead of him. As always, we see Peaceful Explosion getting out of shape there, coming out onto the back straight.
Yeah, now let's not forget, Peaceful and Phil haven't pitted.
That's very true. This man, Emo Guy, has got ahead of G in the pits. Obviously, they were running 2nd and 4th. Ian was closing on onto the back of
Dean at the time.
Yeah, Dean at the time. So currently, Ian has managed to get the ascendancy in that battle over G. I hope that Ian did pit for wet tyres. If he didn't, then he's going to really struggling. Hopefully, his pit crew did change those tyres to wets. But he's now got a 2-second gap back to, 3 seconds even back to G at the moment. This could be Ian's chance to really get a good result in it, which he needs, because he's currently in the drop zone here.
AH in the pits and at the end of lap 5, but Sutty stayed out again. What does this man know that we don't? Because it is tipping down now, and Sutty has stayed out.
Honestly,
Dean's now in the pits. Gary as well has stayed out.
I think he's just rolling the dice, because he knows he needs to do something pretty drastic if he wants to win this championship. He's a long way behind Gary in the standings.
So's Little Leach.
He's trying to maximise this. He's just trying to maximise as much whatever he can do. He's trying anything he can to gain an advantage over Gary. Little Leach, he's going to stay out because I don't know actually.
I'm surprised. Leach Motorsport, one of them could have pitted. They can't pit together. It'll make them do a drive-through penalty. You don't double stack on this game, unfortunately. But for Leach Motorsport here, one of them's got to pit before the other, and at the moment they've both stayed out.
No, I think I know what's happening here. I bet these guys started on the wets.
Possibly.
They were struggling.
Oh, that's Monkey Boy.
Oh, we see Akira getting out of shape. Yeah, I reckon the top 3 started on the wets.
Geeks just said they've all started on the wets. So that is... I don't think Kieran's pitted for wets, look, because he's back in the pits.
The top 3 didn't... Yeah, they started on the wet tyres. They must have.
Yeah, they've got to have. There's no way they're still out on track now without starting on the wet tyre. Well, that's made strategies interesting.
But their tyres are going to wear out way much. They're going to wear out so much quicker than the guys who just changed onto the wet tyres.
Well, so Sutty's got 33 seconds over.
Ian's lost it. He's just faced to AH here.
Yeah, Sutty's got 34 seconds to these guys, so they must know how long a pit stop is, and if they could pull any more time out here. Have they pulled a blinding strategy? Well, we'll wait and see. Gary is obviously the one to watch at the moment, championship leader. He loses any more points to Sutty and Little Leach, it's really going to make the title challenge even more interesting going into next week's race. AH's now 4th ahead of Emo Guy, who's ahead of G. G gaining on the back of Emo Guy after all that time lost in the pit lane then. Good showing from Emo Guy here. We've not seen the best of him yet over at Simplay Motorsport, but he's had a good showing so far.
Yeah, he's currently got G all over the back of him at the moment. These two guys were running in 2nd and 3rd when they came into the pits. You can see they're queuing up behind Little Leach at the moment. All these guys, well, actually, no, sorry, that's AH, I do apologise, yeah. But G trying to find a way around Ian if he can. Looks like he's got a nice run coming out of the penultimate corner. Ian covering him off at the moment. Oh, Emo Guy all over the curb there. You don't want to get too much onto that curb.
No, look at them.
Conditions. G's got the inside line coming out of the last turn. It's AMG versus Nissan GTR Power here out onto the pit straight, and G's got to move up the inside. It's going to be a battle over the slipstream, which it looks like G's won because he's now in that toe of AH as they come down the pit straight. Surely G's going to have that one done unless Ian can go for a late lunge up the inside into turn 1. No, he can't. That's G up into 5th place.
Indeed, it is good move from G. Peaceful Explosions back in the pit lane. Has just pitted for the first time in this race. So still Sutty, Phil, Gary and Little Leach yet to pit at the moment then. Phil up to P8 after not pitting, as he joined his teammate Sutty on the wet tyre as well. Don't forget he was involved in that excursion at turn 1. Gary on the back of Sutty Apex here, and he's lapping a lot quicker than Sutty. 6 seconds last time round, and look at the difference in speed.
Yeah, Gary's really flying at the moment. I wonder if Sutty did actually. Is he maybe on the slick tyres still? I don't know.
He's never trying to stay out on the dries, is he? He's struggling for grip. I reckon Sutty's on the soft tyre.
Yeah, I think Gary started on the wets, but Sutty is on the slicks. But because if you remember, these guys, when they had that moment on the first lap, Sutty was responding really well.
Yeah, really rapidly. Yeah,
picking everybody off, and Gary was struggling. He was sort of labouring a bit. But now it seems like the pendulum has swung very much in Gary's favour. So I don't know if Sutty's maybe planning to go the distance on these slick tyres, make a pit stop at the end. But I wonder if maybe, because the track's going to dry out at the end. We know this from yesterday. Around lap 13 or 14 onwards, the slick tyre is the way to go.
Yeah, 100%.
Trying to long the stint out a little bit and get it to a point where the slick tyre becomes the favoured tyre once again. But the thing is, it's going to be shredded by the time you get to that point. So
well,
he's
got to make a mandatory pit stop anyway. So now, if everybody's changing tyre to the wets, has he made the decision to go back to the slick tyre? Gary will have to pit to get them wets off. So he's not going to lose that much time to Gary in terms of pit stop, you wouldn't have imagined. But now, question I want to say is, we only saw 7 guys on track yesterday to dry the track out. We've got 12 here. Could it dry earlier? That's Peaceful really struggling as well, moving out the way of Sooty Apex, who's going to put a lap on him. And Monkey Boy has passed Peaceful Explosion then. So Peaceful really struggling at the moment. Now, with 12 drivers on the grid... With 12 drivers on the grid, Andy, could that dry the track a lap or two earlier, swinging it, giving Sooty more time on that slick tyre?
Absolutely, that try line will appear about twice as fast, so Sooty Apex definitely will have it better than those guys did yesterday, but I don't think anybody really chanced staying out on the slick tyres. Obviously you had guys like DJ Phil who were out of the running at the end, making that switch, but nobody who was really in contention for some good points in that race or fighting for the top positions actually made that gamble until it became obvious. So Sooty could be onto a winner due to that dry line appearing a lot quicker here in this race. We'll just have to wait and see. But at the moment, he's really suffering.
He came into this race tonight, both races, tonight, 30 odd points behind Gary 131. Race 1 went his way. He's got to throw the dice. 24 points still behind. It's still kind of in Gary's favour at the moment. He's got to throw the dice and try something different. You know, change the strategy, try and do something different. He's either now on the slick tyre still, or he's burnt up his wets pushing too hard early on. That's Little Leach gaining on the back of him as well, look. Little Leach going to split Monkey Boy. Yeah, he's got to be, for me. 202 last lap. What's he just done? He's just done the 202. Little Leach and Gary 6 and 7 seconds quicker. Little Leach a second quicker than his teammate as well. Yeah, Sooty's lost now 8 seconds to Gary. But the question is, if it starts to...
The favour will start swinging in towards those dry tyres though, so...
That's what I mean.
Just got to be patient.
Yeah. Look at AH here, really having to defend from the Only G and Emo Guy then. As the cameraman picks him up now, they're all sort of split. Emo Guy's got a... AH... The Only G's got a great run on AH and has made that move into turn 1. A great move from G there. Does AH have an answer to him? I don't think so at the moment. He's going to look into turn 3 maybe. He's going to look up the inside, but G just closes that door ever so slightly, and AH will have to back out that as he hits the puddle. Peaceful Explosions in the pits yet again. So his second race, his race 1 went well, but his race 2 has gone even worse this time around for him. That's going to pretty much put him out of the championship running here, and that is not what he needed at all. He's really struggled in this one so far.
G still trying to fend off AH and Ian at the moment. But it looks like G had a bit of a scruffy lap last time around. He was lapping in the 1 minute at 57s. Obviously G and Ian were both running in the podium spot before they came into the pits to make their stop. So just to put this all into perspective, guys, the only guys who have been into the pits so far are those from 4th downwards, I believe.
Yeah, bar Phil. I've not seen Phil in the pits yet, down in P9. I've got it jotted down in my notebook. The top 3 and Phil haven't pitted yet.
So with that taken into consideration, could any of these guys, maybe G, AH or Ian, potentially be on for a race win here in this race?
Potentially.
On the wet tyres.
It depends though, because if it dries, do these guys have to pit again for the slicks? Because surely they're going to burn their wet tyres up more. Look, the rain's pretty much stopped. In fact, the rain... Has it all but stopped? I'm seeing droplets. Oh no, it's actually coming down a bit heavier now.
It's just a little bit, but not too much. It has lightened a little bit, I think.
So that's the thing, is will they burn their wets out? Sooty doesn't look like he's struggling as much with that weather slowing down. That's Peaceful getting out of the way of Sooty Apex. So good job there from Peaceful Explosion. He's also being lapped from Monkey Boy, so his race has not gone the way he wanted. Now, let's see the lap times of Sooty Apex. See if they can start to come back down, if he can reel in Gary and Little each here. 17 seconds he is behind. G's only 10 seconds off the back of him then. So let's see what can happen here. But surely, for these guys to win this race, they've... Well, yeah, but I think, Andy, they've got to go till the end on the wet tyre. I can't see how they can win if the wet tyre burns up.
You've got to remember that even though Sooty is on the right tyres, he's still got to come into the pits. He's still going to lose a lot of time.
Yep.
And Gary and Little Leach are both on the same tyres.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying.
G, AH and Ian, and they all need to come into the pits as well.
Yeah, if the track dries though, does G have to pit again? So they're not really gaining anything, are they? By double pit stopping, they're losing that extra time by making a second pit stop, making the gap pretty much what it was.
My point though is that Gary will lose 45 seconds in the pits for a tyre change if he changes to the dries when he comes in. That will mean that these guys will have a 15-second advantage over them with, I don't know, however many laps to go, 5.
No, I see what you're saying, yeah. No, I see what you're saying. I just think these might struggle to get to the end on the wet tyre. And if Gary pits and puts the dries on, he'll be on the better tyre with 4 or 5 laps left to go in the race. And if these are burning them up, we saw last night where Welsh struggled on that wet tyre towards the end of the race.
It really is a fascinating strategic battle, and that's
even
why
we don't know.
We all come and watch that's why we all come and watch Simplay, because you actually don't know what's going to happen from one moment to the next. It's literally it could be a complete lottery, but also it's down to these guys thinking ahead and having a.
Sutty's in the pits.
Good set of brain cells on them. Sutty Apex bringing it in. So let's see what he can do here. He's going to obviously stay on the slick tyres.
Yeah, he's got to change slick tyre, hasn't he? He can't pit for the wets again.
No, he'll just stay on the same tyre. In fact, he doesn't even need to change tyres. He can just stay on the same ones.
Yeah.
I don't know about your screen, Matt, but Sutty Apex has gone.
He's gone full DeLorean mode, and we've seen this in testing in the week. What's actually happening? I noticed in the week the pit crew is still actually changing his tyres right now, and then I saw him. He'll get dropped coming out the exit of the pit lane onto the floor, or he'll get dropped at some stage coming out the pits. There we go. He's been dropped, I do believe.
Oh.
Yeah, so he's now been dropped onto the floor. So it's as if the game's like glitched out, and they're still changing his tyres graphically that we can see. And then all of a sudden he'll go down the pit lane, they'll go, alright, off the jacks, away you go, Sutty. See you in a bit, but yeah, they've already released him, so it's a bit of a glitch in the game. But either way, he was full DeLorean mode. He's now decided that 88's not fast enough, he needs to go even faster. Dean, though, I don't know about your screen, but Dean Wisocki behind him was full DeLorean mode.
Oh.
Now that a Cora, that is full DeLorean mode, that is. Dean up in 8th, so Dean having a good showing here at the moment in 8th. What tyre is he on? Will he have to pit again? Argent's in the pit. That is, surely for the slick tyre. Jamie Brazier just said they'll need to pit again. Last few laps last night, I was nursing the car around you, saw a lot of people made mistakes. So I assume that's relating to G. Gary has now responded to Sutty Apex then and is in the pit. End of lap 11. So Gary's in.
He is, I think.
Yeah, he's got to be, surely.
Yep, those tyres are changing. Only the front tyres, but oh no, he's doing the rears as well. So yeah, Gary's going to be on the slick tyres for the end of this race. Where's he going to come out in relation to Ian and... Oh, G's at a moment. G's lost the time to both Ian and D Biggs. And AH as well. So AH's up into 3rd. AH, we believe, is on the wet tyres.
Yeah, we believe from AH down are on the wet tyre. We believe Gary's now put the slick tyre on. Question, where is Sutty now in relation to Gary? AH has passed him. Emo guy will pass him.
Sutty's 20 seconds behind, I think. Yes,
that's...
Wait,
so
hold on.
Sutty's there. Gary's coming into turn 1. So Sutty, if Sutty started on the dry tyre and Gary started on the wet, it's clearly swung in favour of Gary 131. And Sutty has lost out there, and that is not what Sutty would have wanted, but he needs Gary now to get in a few mistakes here somewhere. Surely he needs Gary to have a problem. If Gary pulls points back on Sutty, is that championship done? He will have to be elbows out, definitely. Phil is now as well in the pit lane then.
They're both on the correct tyres, so I think it's very much swinging into the favour of Gary here for this Simplay Motorsport GT3 Pro Championship.
I think you might be right there, Andy. One man who hasn't pitted is this man on screen now. When does he decide to pull the trigger and come into the pits then?
Yeah, he's got to come in at some point in the next couple of laps. AH currently running in 2nd. He's still got to come in. Well, no, he's been in. Oh.
Whoa, D Biggs! D Biggs and Fury! Emo guy!
Oh, no!
And they're well off.
Those two.
And that's
not going to help Ian at all in his bid to stay up in Pro Series. So now that's... I think somebody's... Oh, Gary's up ahead, up into P3.
Yeah.
That's
gifted him.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah,
gifted him a place there.
So Gary now just a 1.5 seconds behind this man AH, who's on the wet tyres.
That's
and
Monkey
looks
Boy
like
off.
We've got somebody off. Monkey Boy really struggling there, presumably on the wets. But Gary now right up onto the back of AH. This is played beautifully into the hands of Gary. Little Leach into the pits. I think he's going to come out behind Gary. Gary's just coming into the last turn now. Oh, Gary almost got collected there. He may have seen his championship flashing before his eyes there, because AH almost made contact with his rear end there.
And Gary, then, you see the difference on the slick tyre to the wet. The wet struggling coming around that final corner. I reckon those on the wet tyres got to pit again, because this track looks like it's drying up quickly, Andy.
It is. Gary's absolutely timed his pit stop to perfection here. His strategy has been bang on the money, and he looks like he's going to take another race win here. He's going to extend that championship
Sutty's past Little Leach
into the final round. Yeah, he has. Sutty Apex is always way behind. They're always getting right there coming through turns 1 and 2. G down to 4th, running on the wet tyres. Surely, as Jamie Brazier has alluded to, what's happening here? Is G pulled up? No, he's not. But Jamie Brazier mentioning there that these guys will have to come in again. I think you're absolutely right, Jamie. And the track drying out much quicker than it did yesterday due to more cars being out on the track. So this is really played out of the hands of
what a strategy.
Ian, D-Biggs and AH. Yeah, great strategy from Gary. He really has played an absolute blinder in this one. Can't fault him for...
Now, we saw Sutty quick in the dry weather. Yeah, we saw Sutty quick dry weather race 1 and beginning of race 2 as Gary has a bit of a wiggle coming through that right-hander, sorry. Has Sutty got enough? 15 seconds behind. He's really got to put that power down. He was 9 seconds quicker than Gary last lap. But I think that was Gary's out lap. So what can Sutty do here? 15 seconds behind. He needs to hope Gary makes a mistake or two like he did in race 1. Dean and D-Biggs into the pits, and Dean has overtaken D-Biggs in that pit stop. So has Dean gone for the dry tyre? D-Biggs is away now as well. So Dean up to P8. Not a bad race for Dean this. P8, not been that high up for a while. So I'm sure he'll be happy with that one. But it's AH second. He is getting dropped by Gary and reeled in by Sutty.
He is, yeah. Sutty Apex is going to want to try and minimise the damage done in the championship battle. Somebody's been sliding off there. Who's that?
That's G.
On the wet tyres. They are really overheating now. He's in all sorts of problems, and let's stop watching him because he's doing all sorts of silly stuff. AH into the pits.
AH has got to come into the pits. For me, the wet tyre cannot run anymore. So Sutty second, Little Leach third. He's got to go for Gary now, but Gary was 2 seconds quicker last lap. Sutty's championship. He's clawed points back race 1. Can he do enough in race 2 here? Emo guy up into P4. Is he going to stay wet till the end, Ian? Because he's, tell you what, he's not pitted yet, and he could go to the end of this race.
No, surely not.
No, I don't think so.
They're going to be falling off the car in not very long. I don't think that...
You'll be able to cook an egg on them things by the time it's done. Surely.
I think so, yeah. It's definitely not going to be a sustainable thing for Emo Guy to get to the end of this race. You see the other wet runners there sliding off the track, bringing it into the pits. AH looks like he's been in. G's parked the car on the exit of... oh my god. Yeah.
Oh, Gary's got traffic.
Gary's got traffic, yeah. He's got a Curo just up ahead of him. Is that Monkey Boy again?
No, that's not. Dean Wasocki and D-Biggs just in front. That's the battle for 7th and 8th.
Yeah, it is. D-Biggs currently pulling up onto the back of... see him getting very out of shape there, coming onto the exit of the penultimate corner.
That'll make Gary nervous.
No, Gary's probably... I'm sure that would be squeaky bum time there. Or Gary, is he's
really flashing his lights here. Dean's moved out the way. I don't think he's realising he's letting D-Biggs through as well. D-Biggs clearly not wanting to let Gary through, so D-Biggs has took advantage of that and has gained a place over Dean Wasocki. And when does D-Biggs decide to move out the way here from the race leader then? Oh, he spun! And he's going to come back across track, and he's managed to avoid Gary somehow and has rejoined behind Gary, but for a second there, Andy, I don't know about you, I thought Gary was getting collected.
Gary is riding his luck tonight, I tell you that. There's been about 3 or 4 times in this race where he's been inches away from being collected by somebody else's mishap, but he's somehow managed to weather the storm. And he's got a 16-second gap back to Sutty Apex, his championship rival, who's running in P2. They're both on the right tyres. Looks like Sutty's being homed in on now by Gary's teammate Little Leach as well. So Little Leach will be trying to take as many points off of Sutty as he can and give Gary the best possible opportunity going into the final round of the season here.
I'm not sure Sutty's on the right tyre for me, to be fair. I wonder if he's gone hard and they're not heating up as quick as the soft maybe. I just don't know. Sutty had pace race 1. He's got no pace here. Gary into the 46s. Sutty only in the 48s. D Biggs then clearly not wanting to move out of the way of Gary. Jamie Price has just said that Gary's been to church this week. He must have done, because he avoided Emo Guy and D Biggs earlier. He's avoided D Biggs spinning across the track there. D Biggs took advantage over that from Dean Wysocki though, but didn't he? Because he was getting, Dean got lapped, Dean was getting the blue flags, moved out to Gary's way, but then D Biggs refused to move as well, and D Biggs got the position done. So very cheeky there from D Biggs ahead of Dean Wysocki then.
Yeah, and he's got 4 seconds between him now. D Biggs is keeping with Gary as well, to be fair to him.
Yeah, that's not necessarily a good thing for Gary if D Biggs loses it like that and spins across the track again. I'm sure Gary will not want that to happen. Sutty then. He's struggling. I think Sutty's struggling here, and it doesn't seem to have that dominance and pace.
Jimmy Pace has renamed the church.
Dear, what's he renamed it to?
We don't know yet.
we don't know. Sutty's struggling here, Andy. Struggling for the pace it's shown in race 1. Look at Little Leach, quicker than his brother last time around. 45.9 from him, 47.4 from Sutty, and a 46.7 from Gary. 131 then. So the championship leaders. Phil's up to 6, so Phil having a better race too. I don't think he's going to be able to catch AH lap 16 of 17, so Sutty's got to hang on for second place for just a couple more laps at the moment.
Little Leach is going to be extra motivated to get himself up into that P2 because his teammate Gary running in P1 is going to want to extend that championship margin back to Sutty Apex. I think Little Leach is all but out of the championship for this one. Surely now.
Only 24 behind.
Yeah, but after this round?
Oh, after this round. If it's as it stands at the moment. Just working it out now. Sorry.
That's alright. So Sutty Apex here currently just trying to hold off Little Leach at the moment, but Little Leach lapping faster than not just Sutty, but also
it'll be 34.
34, yeah. I don't know what the gap to Sutty would be, but Gary's surely going to... I mean, he's going to have a huge lead coming into the final round. 50 points, 52 points on the table in the last round. 34 points. It's not insurmountable, but it's going to be so difficult. I think Little Leach would probably be best off backing up Gary.
Yeah.
Or not backing him up, but I mean, you know, supporting him as a teammate role in these last couple of races that we've got coming up next week. If you can start that off quite nicely by getting ahead of Sutty Apex and taking points off of Sutty. As we're starting the last lap here of this race at Portimao for race 2. Oh, as we see Sutty getting a little bit out of shape coming out the last corner. He's going to go defensive coming down the pit straight. Little Leach looks to the outside here. I think Sutty's got the straight line speed to hold on the inside. It's Lambo versus Porsche coming into turn 1. Sutty Apex holding on the inside for the time being. Little Leach going very wide there on the exit of turn 1, riding over the curb as he comes back onto the track.
Interesting this fight is going to be. Gary has pretty much won this one unless he makes a catastrophic mistake. Gary has this one won, but for Sutty Apex he's got to hang on in second. He's got to make sure he doesn't lose any more points to Gary. 131. There's Gary coming to the back part of the circuit. These two just coming down towards the hairpin now. Gary is Sutty's got to make sure he doesn't lose any more points to Gary. 131, as he will not want to lose out any more than what he has done already. It's not been the best of race 2s for Sutty Apex here. And you can... Oh,
it looks like Arjun's got the inside of Dean Wysocki up into 8th place there.
And in 2 seconds, can you just take charge? Can you just take charge? 2 seconds, Andy.
We've got Gary just coming into the final part of this race now. We're on the final lap here at Portimao for race 2. This is the penultimate round of the season. Gary 131 has driven a fantastic race here tonight, and he's going to bring it into the last couple of corners.
Sorry, Andy, I'm back.
Looks like Gary. What's happened to Gary? Has he run out of fuel? What is going on here? He slowed the car right down. What's going on? Surely he's not got running out of fuel here. No, he's not. I don't know what's going on here. But Gary 131's going to take the win here for race 2. He's been dominant from the start, and he just was on the right strategy in this one. Managed to switch to the slick tyres at the right time. So great win there from Gary.
Yeah, good win.
He's just going to slow it right down and rub it in Sutty Apex a little bit. By the looks of it, there we go. Gary takes the win. That was cheeky.
Cheeky, as you like there. Little Leach will come on P3. Sutty Apex will take a P2 from that race then. You saw Kieran and Dean cross the line. I think Kieran will have to do a final lap, so if he does, he may be on a charge to hunt down Dean Biggs. Dean will take 9th place, so it'll probably his best finish for a while as well for Dean Wysocki then in that one. We lost Unorthodox, didn't start. We lost Fury. We lost G as well. We also didn't have Keegs and Mazda in that one, but Gary takes a good championship lead at the minute. Emo Guy, a good 4th place for him, his best finish of the season. Although it's not done yet, he's got AH Ashley in the back of him, and what is going to happen on the drag down to the straight? The cameraman's took a holiday, and AH is out-dragged Emo Guy, so Emo Guy will take 5th place. AH will take a P4. Good drive.
AH just nabbing him right at the death of the race there. So Ian's going to be a little bit gutted with that. Obviously can't maximise the points, but I reckon Ian will definitely be out of the drop zone for this Pro Series. He's doing what he needs to do to stay up in the top division of Simplay Motorsport's GT3 division.
Yeah, I think he will.
Phil coming over.
I think he did. Phil comes over P6. A better second race for him. Not what he'd have wanted. I'm sure he would have wanted to help his teammate out more in that one. D Biggs looks like he's going to take 7th place from Kieran Argent then. Bit of a moment or two where we thought he'd nearly collided with Gary, but D Biggs is going to take 7th place. Kieran Argent then will take a P8 with Dean Wino finishing in P9. P10 I do believe was Monkey Boy, with Peaceful Explosion finishing in P11. Yeah, laps down was the other guys. So Monkey Boy did finish P10 and Peaceful Explosion P11 and last. Poor race from him in that one. Poor race for Peaceful Explosion. Fastest lap of the race though went the way of, let's have a look, 46.1 from G, 46.9, 45.9 from Little Leach is the fastest lap of the race. So Little Leach gains an extra point and a 3rd place. So going into next week then, Peaceful is pretty much, in fact Peaceful is out of the running for the championship, as are Iron Brew Racing and Forever Forward Racing. Leach Motorsport have pretty much wrapped up the Constructors title. That'll be won in race 1 next week. Gary has a championship lead of 26 points to Sooty Apex, 33 to Little Leach. I tell you what, one bad race for Gary, one no finish for Gary, and Sooty wins with fastest lap. It will be all square in that one then. Little Leach currently sits in 3rd. The battle for the drop then, Fury on 65 now, bottom of the leaderboard. Emo 66, only 9 points behind D Wasaki, who's on 75. D Biggs 82. And Unorthodox kind of back in that one a little bit on 93. AH has gone above Keegs as well in that one. Mazda's dropped to 4th in the title, but obviously not running this week. Andy, pleasure as always to have you in the commentary box, my friend. Any final words from you?
Yeah, make sure you join us next week, guys, for the finale for both series. Pro-Am on Wednesday night, 8 PM, followed by the Pro Series. This time next week, make sure you check it out and see what happens. Who's going to take it, Gary or Sooty Apex? All on the final round.
Indeed, it could have been. Join Andy and myself over at Motive Racing this weekend. Andy will be taking you through the final of the LMP2s and the finale of the GT3s, in which BT Targa won last week. I'll be there on Sunday night for the Touring Cars finale, so make sure you head over to Motive Racing to tune in for their final, to their end of their season. And like Andy said a moment ago, join in next Wednesday, where MC Motorsport are your Constructors winners already. Can Welshie or Big Boy Brazy, the only 2 left. Who will take the title there, and who will take the title between Sooty, Gary and Little Leach? If Mazda come back, he's still in with a mathematical shout, but I think that one's pretty much done from here on in. But from all of us here at Simplay Motorsport, thank you for your time. Good night. Bye-bye.
Calling to say I